I call this meeting of the Appropriations Committee to order. Welcome, everyone. Today's markup is the resumption of our markup for fiscal year 2026 of the Agriculture, Rural Development, Food and Drug Administration related agencies appropriations measure, which has been in recess. While we've already considered many amendments to this measure, we have many more to go. Nonetheless, it's my intention that we will finish our work on this bill tonight. So keep that in mind. Before we begin, I want to make a brief statement about our schedule this week. Tomorrow, we will mark up our Homeland Security Appropriations measure for fiscal year 2026. On Wednesday, the Military Construction and Veterans Affairs Bill, which we reported out 2 weeks ago, will be on the floor. Finally, on Thursday, we will mark up our legislative branch appropriations measure for fiscal year 2026. We'll also approve the 302B for that particular bill at that point. So we have a lot of work ahead of us, but with your cooperation, we'll complete each of these bills as quickly as we can. Before I resume the markup, I want to announce that this is Mr. Lalota's birthday today. Now, some of you will know this tradition. Some of you may think of it as a Republican tradition. I think of it as a House tradition. It's called the Boehner birthday song. If you don't know it, you should learn it. It'll save you a lot of time in your deal. It ought to be officially adopted by the House. So, Mr. Lalota, this is your birthday song. It doesn't last too long. Hey, now we're back to business. So I would advise my Democratic colleagues, please adopt that and use it as you see fit. With that, we will resume the markup. Mr. Bocan is recognized for an amendment.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have an amendment at the desk, and I'd ask that it be considered read.
Without objection, the reading of the amendments dispensed with. The gentleman's recognized for remarks on his amendment.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is just asking for a study on farmers' health insurance coverage. There hasn't been a study for at least 10 years on this, yet in my district, and I have a very rural district, the farmers have a wide variety of ways that they get health insurance. So some may be on Medicaid, some are on the exchange, some don't have health insurance, some might get it from a spouse, but we have a particular problem, and you're not gonna be able to see this graph real well, and I apologize for that, but when you look at farmers, in particular dairy farmers, that's the big spike on here, that's 41.4% of that population don't have health insurance or have it more in a non-traditional way because I think somewhat the seasonality of people who work within the dairy industry versus some others. But we really, it's a problem. And I've had a farmer that I brought to the State of the Union who is on Medicaid, who has a CSA, 100 families helping him out. Look, he's not making lots of money, but Medicaid is where he's able to get his health insurance. That's where he happens to get it. But for many of the people in the district, we don't have a comprehensive way to kind of show the problem, in particular with some, and then 14.8% for people who are growing fruit and nuts, 10% all farm household members overall. But it really depends by the farming type, and it's really about whether or not they have coverage for their family. So this is simply not related to anything else, just asking for a study on types of health insurance that people have so that perhaps we can help to make sure that all farmers, in particular dairy farmers with this very, very high rate of not being insured, would have better access to health insurance. And with that, I'm going to yield back and try to set the precedent for the evening.
I thank the gentleman. Dr. Harris is recognized to address the amendment.
Thank you very much. Look, I agree with the gentleman. The health of our farm population is extremely important, but the scope of the report is just plainly unworkable. So I rise in opposition to the amendment. It requires the USDA to gather data on health insurance coverage for farmers and their families. It requires information aggregated by state, by type of insurance, including Medicaid, Medicare, and Obamacare, and by number of farmers enrolled, and an assessment from USDA on how access to health insurance affects farmers' cost of living, business operations, and the food supply chain. Again, this is not what the ERS was intended for. They already have a number of research topics and activities that are more closely related to agriculture to focus on, so I urge my colleagues to oppose the amendment.
Thank you. My friend, Mr. Bishop from Georgia is recognized to address the amendment.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and I rise in very strong support of the gentleman's amendment. I think ERS is the Economic Research Service, and I think that given the dangerous cuts that are proposed to SNAP and Medicaid in the reconciliation bill, that there are some real-world impacts that these cuts to Americans, including farmers. And I urge a yes vote, and with that, I yield back.
Excuse me, I thank the gentleman. If there is no further debate, the gentleman from Wisconsin is recognized for 1 minute to close.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, we used to collect it. We haven't collected the data for 10 years, so it's not like we're asking something brand new. This is something we've done as a country. It wasn't meant to be controversial. I guess everything these days is controversial, but, we're hoping that we could just, add something that would help farmers, in particular, certain types of farmers. And if dairy farmers are having a spike that's that different than every other farmer, I just hope that you'd consider to support this, and I yield back.
Thank the gentleman. The question's now on the amendment offered by the gentleman from Wisconsin. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. No. The opinion of the chair, the noes have it. Roll call is being requested. Sufficient number of hands having risen. If there's, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Adderholt? No. Mr. Adderholt, no. Mr. Aguilar? Mr. Alford? No. Mr. Alford, no. Mr. Amadei? No. Mr. Amadei, no. Mrs. Bice? Mr. Bishop?
Yes.
Mr. Bishop, aye. Mr. Calvert? No. Mr. Calvert, no. Mr. Carter? No. Mr. Carter, no. Mr. Case? Aye. Mr. Case, aye. Mr. Siscomani? No. Mr. Siscomani, no. Mr. Klein? No. Mr. Klein, no. Mr. Cloud? Mr. Clyburn? Mr. Clyde? Negative. Mr. Clyde, no. Mr. Cole?
No.
Mr. Cole, no. Mr. Cuellar? Aye. Mr. Cuellar, aye. Ms. Dean? Ms. Dean, aye. Ms. DeLauro? Aye. Ms. DeLauro, aye. Mr. Diaz-Balart? Mr. Edwards? No. Mr. Edwards, no. Mr. Elzey? Mr. Elzey, no. Ms. Escobar? Mr. Espaillat? Mr. Espaillat, aye. Mr. Fleischman? No. Mr. Fleischman, no. Ms. Frankel? Ms. Frankel, aye. Mr. Franklin? No. Mr. Franklin, no. Mr. Gonzalez? Mr. Guest? No. Mr. Guest, no. Mr. Harder? Aye. Mr. Harder, aye. Dr. Harris? No. Dr. Harris, no. Mrs. Hinson? No. Mrs. Hinson, no. Mr. Hoyer? Aye. Mr. Hoyer, aye. Mr. Ivy? Mr. Joyce? Ms. Capter? Ms. Capter, aye. Mr. Lalota? No. Mr. Lalota, no. Ms. Lee? Ms. Lee, aye. Ms. Letlow? Mr. Levin? Mr. Levin, aye. Ms. Malloy? Ms. McCollum? Ms. McCollum, aye. Ms. Ming? Ms. Ming, aye. Mr. Molinar? Mr. Molinar, no. Mr. Moore? Mr. Moore, no. Mr. Morelli? Mr. Morelli, aye. Mr. Mervan? Mr. Mervan, aye. Mr. Newhouse? Mr. Newhouse, no. Ms. Perez? Ms. Perez, aye. Ms. Pingree? Ms. Pingree, aye. Mr. Pocan? Mr. Pocan, aye. Mr. Quigley? Mr. Quigley, aye. Mr. Reschenthaler? Mr. Rogers? No. Mr. Rogers, no. Mr. Rutherford? No. Mr. Rutherford, no. Mr. Simpson? No. Mr. Simpson, no. Mr. Strong? Mrs. Torres? Mrs. Torres, aye. Miss Underwood? Miss Underwood, aye. Mr. Valadeo? Mr. Valadeo, no. Miss Wasserman Schultz? Miss Wasserman Schultz, aye. Mrs. Watson Coleman? Mrs. Watson Coleman, aye. Mr. Womack? Mr. Womack, no. Mr. Zinke? Mr. Zinke, no.
Are there any members wishing to record or change their vote? Gentleman from Ohio?
Mr. Joyce votes no.
Gentlelady from Oklahoma?
Ms. Spice votes no.
Gentleman from Florida?
Mr. Diaz-Balart, no.
Gentleman from Texas?
Mr. Cloud votes no.
Gentleman from Pennsylvania?
Mr. Rushenthaler, no.
Are there other members? Gentleman from South Carolina?
Mr. Clyburn votes aye.
Are there others wishing to record or change a vote?
You
Gentleman
are
from
not
Alabama?
recorded. Mr. Strong votes no.
Are there any additional members wishing to be recorded? If not, the clerk will tally. On this vote, the ayes are 25, the noes are 32. The amendment is not adopted. Before we move on, gentlelady from Oklahoma, I think an extraordinary event occurred in your district last night. I would just ask you to report on it for the benefit of the committee.
Mr. Chairman, I appreciate the opportunity to share with you all that last night, my Oklahoma City Thunder team were successful in winning Game 7 of the NBA series, and they are now the NBA champions. And it is exciting and wonderful news. The downside is the parade and celebration of the team is tomorrow, and I will not be joining them for the parade. I
You will be
here
with us
all
in
of
a
you.
markup. What could be better than that?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate you letting, they might have missed it had you not been here to tell them. With that, Ms. Watson Coleman is recognized for an amendment.
An amendment at the desk, and I ask for unanimous consent to dispense with the reading of it.
Without objection, the reading of the amendment is dispensed with, and the gentlelady is recognized for remarks on her amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My amendment would strike language from this bill that is effectively a gag order on the mere acknowledgement that racism exists in American society. In its current form, this bill bans any program, project, or activity that promotes or advances critical race theory or any concept associated with it. Any concept associated with it? Critical race theory is an academic discipline. It is a field of study. It's a framework for understanding the role of racism in our society. So would the bill prohibit the Economic Research Service under the Department of Agriculture, which is a social science research agency, from even acknowledging that racism exists in American society? Any concept associated with it? Where do we draw the line? There are quite a few ordinary concepts that are related to critical race theory. Whether my colleagues across the aisle like it or not, America is a multiracial nation. We are a diverse society. It is part of who we are, and there indeed is evidence of racism throughout our history. Denying the existence of racism or its impact on American society does not mean that those impacts go away. We cannot end racism simply by pretending that it is not real. All you do by ignoring the role that racism has played in shaping our society is weaken our ability to address it. All you do is prolong the injustices that history has left us with. We had 250 years of slavery in this country, and that's not even counting the terrorism of Jim Crow. We've barely 60 years removed from the civil rights movement, and we still have a long ways to go. That history matters. It has a lasting effect on American society, and it is our job as the people's representatives to address the problems of our nation as it is, not as how we pretend it to be. I strongly encourage my colleagues to support this amendment and strike this provision from this bill. Thank you. Yield back.
Thank the gentlelady. Dr. Harris is recognized to address the amendment.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I rise in opposition to the amendment. Section 755 prohibits funding for any and all DEI and CRT activities and puts into this bill President Trump's efforts to stop the woke agenda that permeated the USDA and other executive branch agencies under the Biden administration. Our constituents' hard-earned taxpayer dollars should not be wasted on these activities. This provision represents conservative values and should not be stricken from the bill. I urge my colleagues to oppose the amendment.
Gentleman from Georgia, Mr. Bishop, is recognized to address the amendment.
I rise in strong support of the gentlelady's amendment. I think it's been demonstrated in markups in this committee over and over the last couple of years that Republicans and Americans and nobody has any idea what the term critical race theory means. There's no definition. It ought to be stricken because it's void for vagueness. It will be impractical to enforce because there are no criteria. No idea what it means. I think the gentlelady's amendment is well taken. I think it has no place in the bill, and I support it.
Thank the gentleman. Do any other members seek recognition to speak on the amendment? Seeing none, if there's no further debate, the gentlelady is recognized for 1 minute to close.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I sincerely hope that my colleagues on both sides of the aisle would acknowledge that it is inappropriate and unnecessary to have this in this bill. That indeed this is a multicultural society. Indeed there is diversity, inclusion, and equity, things that we should be considering if we want to be the America that provides opportunity for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness and prosperity for all, irrespective of their race. I sincerely hope that my colleagues see the wisdom in supporting this amendment and moving forward as we work to make this the equal society that we claim is our desire for everyone. I yield back, and I certainly hope you all would support my amendment.
Thank the gentlelady for her comments. The question's now on the amendment offered by the gentlelady from New Jersey. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. No. The opinion of the chair, the noes have it, and the amendment is not adopted. Gentlelady from California, Ms. Torres, is recognized for the purpose of an amendment.
Mr. Chairman, I ask for unanimous consent to dispense with a reading of the amendment.
Without objection, the reading of the amendment is dispensed with. The gentlelady is recognized for remarks on her amendment.
Mr. Chairman, I rise to offer an amendment and to ask that this amendment will protect employees who work to address bird flu, which continues to pose a threat to poultry, livestock, and frontline workers. As the chairman noted, the bill has important funding and language aimed at fighting and addressing bird flu. This is a bipartisan issue. But even with funding, we have to make sure that workers in the fields, labs, and other areas are able to do the work without getting fired. Since 2024, there have been 70 reported cases of humans with bird flu in the U.S., including 38 in California. Even though it's called bird flu, 36 of the 38 cases in California are from workers being in contact with cow herds. It has also impacted nearly 175 million poultry and over 8,000 dairy herds, driving up the price of eggs, and each outbreak puts us at risk and hurts our farmers. Yet in February of this year, the USDA admitted that they accidentally fired civil servants working on the bird flu response and had to scramble in an effort to rehire them. It's unclear how many they were able to rehire back. Those firings caused a partial shutdown at one of the research facilities aimed at helping fight bird flu and helping livestock recover from the illness. Imagine being in their shoes. It's hard to come back to a workplace that fires you for absolutely no reason, and with people in this administration, including with an OMB director, that wants to put civil servants, and I quote, in trauma. USDA also didn't bring back support staff and research technicians who are essential for a lab running efficiently. It takes a whole team to do research, not just the scientist. Imagine if we did our jobs without staff to support us. Even after admitting their mistake in April, after months of continued hostility towards workers, the USDA forced employees to once again make a decision to take a buyout or stay and risk being fired. This meant an additional loss of bird flu workers who help run the labs that test animal samples for diseases, harming our efforts to monitor the spread. USDA has professionals doing research, coordinating, testing, and in the field. They're not talking heads. None of us want another pandemic. And like so many colleagues have mentioned, DOJ and agencies like the USDA have fired staff with no intention of actually making things more efficient or effective. They are still scrambling to rehire critical workers and fill positions. It's not efficiency, it's an embarrassment. We are appropriators who have oversight over these agencies, and we are not being given information or, at the very least, a heads up. We can't risk the staff tasked with addressing bird flu getting fired again. I urge my colleagues to support my amendment and ensure that we are not caught scrambling once again. And I yield back.
Thank the gentlelady. The gentleman from Maryland, Dr. Harris, is recognized to address the amendment.
Thank you very much. My district is also affected by HPAI, obviously very dependent on the broiler production in the poultry industry. The USDA does many important functions, but I have to oppose this amendment offered by my colleague. Under Secretary Rowland's leadership, USDA has prioritized addressing HPAI and other animal diseases and been very successful. The gentlelady mentions egg prices, which are now about 1/2 of what they were when President Trump took office. USDA understands how best to manage department's personnel and has shown deference to the frontline workers who help protect our food supply by exempting critical workers from staff reduction efforts. This amendment unnecessarily micromanages USDA's ability to effectively manage its own staff. I urge my colleagues to oppose the amendment.
Thank you, gentlemen. The gentleman from Georgia, Mr. Bishop, is recognized to address the amendment.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I commend the gentlelady for her amendment. It is well taken, well placed. We've all read the stories about the misguided way that the administration caused the firings or resignations of thousands of federal employees. They did nothing ahead of time to keep employees that were charged with preventing the spread of bird flu from leaving. Then they realized a mistake and they tried to hire them back. Certainly, this is not a way to run the government of the United States. And we as a Congress, and especially this committee and this subcommittee in particular, we're charged with the health, safety, and welfare of all Americans. This amendment would help to support our producers, it would help consumers, it would help grocers, it would help families, it would help everyone in the agriculture supply chain. I think the gentlelady's amendment is well taken, and I urge its adoption.
Thank the gentleman. Are there other members wishing to address the amendment? Seeing none, the gentlelady is recognized for 1 minute to close.
Thank you, Chairman. The bird flu doesn't know DEI, it doesn't know political sides, but it is a serious illness. We need to take additional steps to protect the workers fighting bird flu from this administration and from DOJ. None of us want to see more outbreaks, especially with a health secretary like RFK, who has suggested that we should just let the bird flu spread and has apparently gotten the USDA secretary on board. This administration also pulled nearly $600 million in funding for the development of a new bird flu vaccine. And earlier this month, RFK dismissed the entire CDC expert panel on vaccines. God help us if we have another pandemic. We might just have someone telling us to inject bleach into ourselves once again. I urge my colleagues to vote yes on my amendment to protect the essential staff who work to address the bird flu. And I yield back.
Thank the gentlelady. The question is now on the amendment offered by the gentlelady from California. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. No. The opinion of the chair, the noes have it. Recorded vote has been requested. Sufficient number in support. Recorded vote is ordered. The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Adderholt. Mr. Adderholt, no. Mr. Aguilar. Mr. Aguilar, aye. Mr. Alford. Mr. Alford, no. Mr. Amadei. Mr. Amadei, no. Mrs. Bice. Mrs. Bice, no. Mr. Bishop. Yes. Mr. Bishop, aye. Mr. Calvert. Mr. Calvert, no. Mr. Carter. Mr. Carter, no. Mr. Case. Mr. Case, aye. Mr. Siscomani. Mr. Siscomani, no. Mr. Klein. Mr. Klein, no. Mr. Cloud. Mr. Cloud, no. Mr. Clyburn. Mr. Clyburn, aye. Mr. Clyde. Mr. Clyde, no. Mr. Cole. No. Mr. Cole, no. Mr. Cuellar. Mr. Cuellar, aye. Miss Dean. Miss Dean, aye. Ms. DeLauro. Ms. DeLauro, aye. Mr. Diaz-Balart. Mr. Diaz-Balart, no. Mr. Edwards. Mr. Edwards, no. Mr. Elzey. Mr. Elzey, no. Ms. Escobar. Ms. Escobar, aye. Mr. Espaillat. Mr. Espaillat, aye. Mr. Fleischman. Mr. Fleischman, no. Ms. Frankel. Ms. Frankel, aye. Mr. Franklin. Mr. Franklin, no. Mr. Gonzalez. Mr. Guest. Mr. Guest, no. Mr. Harder. Mr. Harder, aye. Dr. Harris. Dr. Harris, no. Mrs. Hinson. Mrs. Hinson, no. Mr. Hoyer. Mr. Hoyer, aye. Mr. Ivy. Mr. Joyce. Mr. Joyce, no. Ms. Capter. Ms. Capter, aye. Mr. LaLota. Mr. LaLota, no. Ms. Lee. Ms. Lee, aye. Ms. Letlow. Ms. Letlow, no. Mr. Levin. Mr. Levin, aye. Ms. Malloy. Ms. Malloy, no. Ms. McCollum. Ms. McCollum, aye. Ms. Ming. Ms. Ming, aye. Mr. Molinar. Mr. Molinar, no. Mr. Moore. Mr. Moore, no. Mr. Morelli. Mr. Mervan. Mr. Mervan, aye. Mr. Newhouse. Mr. Newhouse, no. Ms. Perez. Ms. Pingree. Ms. Pingree, aye. Mr. Pocan. Mr. Pocan, aye. Mr. Quigley. Mr. Quigley, aye. Mr. Reschenthaler. Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers, no. Mr. Rutherford. Mr. Rutherford, no. Mr. Simpson. Mr. Simpson, no. Mr. Strong. Mr. Strong, no. Mrs. Torres. Mrs. Torres, aye. Miss Underwood. Miss Underwood, aye. Mr. Valadeo. Mr. Valadeo, no. Miss Wasserman Schultz. Mrs. Watson Coleman. Mrs. Watson Coleman, aye. Mr. Womack. Mr. Womack, no. Mr. Zinke. Mr. Zinke, no.
Does any member wish to record their vote or change their vote? Gentleman from Pennsylvania?
Mr. Reschenthaler votes no.
Gentlelady from Florida?
Ms.
Gentleman-
Wasserman Schultz votes aye.
Gentleman from New York? And gentleman's not recorded.
Mr. Morelli, aye.
Are there any other members wishing to record or change their vote? Seeing none, the clerk will tally. On this vote, the ayes are 26 and noes are 34. The amendment is not adopted. Is there any further amendment or discussion? Gentleman from New York, Mr. Espaillat's recognized for an amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I ask unanimous consent to dispense the reading of the amendment.
Without objection, the reading of the amendment is dispensed with, and the gentleman's recognized for remarks on his amendment.
Mr. Chairman, there is great concern about the impact that the cuts to SNAPs will have on independent grocers in both rural and low-income areas. There is a proposed $300 billion cut to SNAP. Many independent grocers operate and process SNAP benefits in areas where they are the only fresh food retailer within a reasonable distance. SNAP is not only an essential program to fighting food insecurity, it is also a proven economic engine for thousands of local communities. Local grocers employ local residents and attract other businesses which make it easier for families to receive the services that they need. Some of these grocers, particularly in low-income areas, have more than 50% of their business emanating from SNAP benefits. So obviously, it will have a severe economic impact to their business. And in fact, many of them will face the possibility of closing their businesses if these major cuts are implemented. The amendment seeks the committee to direct the secretary to submit a report no later than 120 days after the enactment of this act on the estimated economic impact for independent grocers that could come as a result of the fiscal year 2025 budget reconciliation legislation as it pertains to the SNAP program. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
I thank the gentleman. Gentleman from Maryland, Dr. Harris, is recognized to address the amendment.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Look, the SNAP program is an important program. It's supported by a majority of Americans, but an even larger majority feel that you should have a work requirement in SNAP. And obviously, when the gentleman mentions $300 billion in savings, there are two general sources of those savings. The first source is work requirements, is tightening up work requirements, which 2/3 of Americans agree with. Well, it's about time Congress does what America thinks. America thinks we need work requirements. So I feel bad for those independent grocers, but the bottom line is, if we want to talk about real estimated economic impact, let's talk about the estimated economic impact of $2 trillion deficits and a $36 trillion federal debt. That's a real economic impact, and that's on all Americans and all businesses, not just one small segment that hopes to keep able-bodied workers on a welfare benefit. The other segment of the $300 billion savings is actually to suggest that states that have very high improper payment rates under programs actually will have to have a cost share involved in some of the programs. It seems perfectly reasonable. Wealthy states probably should either help the hungry in their states, or they should lower the improper payment rates. So Congress is continuing to work on the reconciliation bill. I don't know what's going to come out of the Senate, to be honest with you. Anybody who thinks they know, just wait for tomorrow morning's paper. But we do have a $2 trillion deficit. We must get our fiscal house in order. We're continuing to work on the task. Work requirements are hugely popular for welfare programs. Again, these are able-bodied workers without dependents. These are not the disabled. These are not, children. These are not the elderly. Again, whenever the government attempts to reduce that federal deficit, some group is going to be impacted by it, some group that benefits by that federal deficit. In this case, it's small independent grocers. Fact of the matter is we have to respond to the vast majority of Americans, and we have to deal with that debt and deficit. So I urge opposition to the amendment.
Thank the gentleman. The gentleman from Georgia, Mr. Bishop, is recognized to address the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I rise in support of this amendment. The amendment is very simple. It only requires a report from USDA, which we all need to know, requiring USDA to do a report on the impact of the SNAP cuts in reconciliation, the impact that it will have on retailers who are authorized to accept SNAP payments. I have the very same concern as the gentleman from New York. My district has the challenge of food deserts, and of course, we need to know what providers of nutritious foods through SNAP will be impacted, because that will ultimately affect even those individuals in those communities who do not receive SNAP. Overall, it's going to contribute to a worse health outcome for Americans, whether they live in rural communities or whether they live in urban areas. So I think that this amendment is well taken. I think we need to be informed. I don't think that we should go forward as this administration has done in so many ways by cutting and not understanding what the ramifications will be of the policies that they're trying to put in place. I think it's very well taken, and I urge the support of the amendment. It's a good amendment. It's good for America.
Thank the gentleman. Are there other members wishing to address the amendment? If there's no further debate, the gentleman's recognized for 1 minute to close.
A recent study by the Kaiser Family Foundation found that 94% of the recipients of SNAP are already working, and that in fact SNAP yields $6.98 a day. That's what you can buy with it. And this amendment simply asks for a report on the impact on these small businesses, many of which have activity of higher than 50% with SNAP recipients. So if you take away SNAP food stamps, many of these businesses will be hurt and potentially have to close. And so we just want, this has nothing to, this is not a deficit amendment. This is a report. Simply a report on how it will impact grocers, rural and in low-income neighborhoods, how these cuts will impact on their day-to-day bottom line. I ask my colleagues to support the amendment, and I yield back, Mr. Chair.
Thank the gentleman. The question is now on the amendment offered by the gentleman from New York. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The opinion of the chair, the noes have it. Gentleman has asked for a reported vote. Sufficient number of hands being raised. A recorded vote is ordered. The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Adderholt. Mr. Adderholt, no. Mr. Aguilar. Mr. Aguilar, aye. Mr. Alford. Mr. Alford, no. Mr. Amedee. Mr. Amedee, no. Mrs. Bice. Mrs. Bice, no. Mr. Bishop. Yes. Mr. Bishop, aye. Mr. Calvert. No. Mr. Calvert, no. Mr. Carter. Mr. Carter, no. Mr. Case. Mr. Case, aye. Mr. Siscomani. Mr. Siskamani, no. Mr. Klein. Mr. Klein, no. Mr. Cloud. Mr. Cloud, no. Mr. Clyburn. Mr. Clyburn, aye. Mr. Clyde. Mr. Clyde, no. Mr. Cole. Mr. Cole, no. Mr. Cuellar. Mr. Cuellar, aye. Ms. Dean. Ms. Dean, aye. Mr. Loro. Mr. Loro, aye. Mr. Diaz-Balart. Mr. Diaz-Balart, no. Mr. Edwards. Mr. Edwards, no. Mr. Elzey. Mr. Elzey, no. Ms. Escobar. Ms. Escobar, aye. Mr. Espaillat. Mr. Espaillat, aye. Mr. Fleischman. Mr. Fleischman, no. Ms. Frankel. Ms. Frankel, aye. Mr. Franklin. Mr. Franklin, no. Mr. Gonzalez. Mr. Guest. Mr. Guest, no. Mr. Harder. Mr. Harder, aye. Dr. Harris. Dr. Harris, no. Mrs. Henson. Mrs. Henson, no. Mr. Hoyer. Mr. Hoyer, aye. Mr. Ivy. Mr. Ivy, aye. Mr. Joyce. Ms. Capter. Ms. Capter, aye. Mr. Lalota. Mr. Lalota, no. Ms. Lee. Ms. Lee, aye. Ms. Letlow. Ms. Letlow, no. Mr. Levin. Mr. Levin, aye. Ms. Malloy. Ms. Malloy, no. Ms. McCollum. Ms. McCollum, aye. Ms. Ming. Ms. Ming, aye. Mr. Molinar. Mr. Molinar, no. Mr. Moore. Mr. Moore, no. Mr. Morelli. Mr. Morelli, aye. Mr. Mervan. Mr. Mervan, aye. Mr. Newhouse. Mr. Newhouse, no. Ms. Perez. Ms. Pingree. Ms. Pingree, aye. Mr. Pocan. Mr. Pocan, aye. Mr. Quigley. Mr. Quigley, aye. Mr. Reschenthaler. Mr. Reschenthaler, no. Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers, no. Mr. Rutherford. Mr. Rutherford, no. Mr. Simpson. Mr. Simpson, no. Mr. Strong. Mr. Strong, no. Mrs. Torres. Mrs. Torres, aye. Miss Underwood. Miss Underwood, aye. Mr. Valadeo. Mr. Valadeo, no. Miss Wasserman Schultz. Miss Wasserman Schultz, aye. Mrs. Watson Coleman. Mrs. Watson Coleman, aye. Mr. Womack. Mr. Womack, no. Mr. Zinke. Mr. Zinke, no.
Does any member wish to record their vote or change their vote? Seeing none, the clerk will tally. Oh, sorry, wait a minute. There's no further, oh, we already did that, okay.
Mr. Joyce?
No.
Yeah, I don't think he's voting. Mr. Joyce votes no. Ms. Perez votes aye.
Any other members? Seeing none. chair
Mr.
will
Fleisch?
tally.
Oh, here.
On this vote, the ayes are 28, the noes are 34. The amendment is not agreed to. Is there any further amendment or discussion? I believe. Excuse me, gentlelady from Illinois is recognized for an amendment. Gentlelady has several amendments, so if she could help clerks by designating which one she cares to discuss.
Yes, sir. I have amendment number 2 at the desk. I ask unanimous consent that the reading of the amendment be dispensed with.
Without objection, the reading of the amendment is dispensed with, and the gentlelady is recognized for remarks on her amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I rise to offer an amendment to empower the FDA to protect American kids from the latest addictive product of a predatory industry. From 2021 to 2024, reported use of nicotine pouches among young Americans has more than doubled. Multiple factors are fueling this rise. The nicotine levels and discrete delivery methods of products like Zyn makes them addictively easy to consume, anytime, anywhere, from school to social settings. Kids are also drawn to the candy flavors like tropical fruit, berry, mint, citrus, and dragon fruit. These are the same characteristics that made e-cigarettes like Juul so popular among young people. At the same time, Zinfluencers have flooded social media and aggressively marketed nicotine pouches to kids. From Zyn birthday cakes to fridges full of Zyn, young people are being sold a lifetime of addiction. It's outrageous. Each day that passes without meaningful action, we lose more kids to addiction and more Americans to deaths that could have been prevented. That's why my amendment directs the FDA to publish an action plan to decrease and prevent use of nicotine pouches by minors, and to report on the impact of predatory marketing tactics like kid-friendly flavors and social media influencers. This common sense amendment is especially timely following the FDA's recent authorization of 20 flavored Zyn nicotine pouch products, including Zyn Chill, Zyn Cinnamon, Zyn Citrus, Zyn Coffee, Zyn Cool Mint, Zyn Menthol, Zyn Peppermint, Zyn Smooth, Zyn Spearmint, and Zyn Wintergreen. It is critical that the FDA closely monitor the impact of this authorization to assure that youth nicotine pouch use does not continue to climb. I urge my colleagues to join me in protecting our youth by supporting this amendment, and I yield back.
Thank the gentlelady. The gentleman from Maryland, Dr. Harris, is recognized to address the amendment.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Look, clearly nicotine use by our children should never be encouraged in any way, shape, or form. But I rise in opposition to this amendment as it's duplicative to actions already in the bill and agreed upon by this committee. The bill includes language directing FDA to enforce on the illicit e-cigarette market, which is the primary driver of youth tobacco use. I also supported the gentlelady from Florida's amendment maintaining the FDA's Real Cost campaign, proven effective in reducing youth tobacco use. The FDA does need to prioritize taking action on proven causes of youth tobacco use, not prolonging their obligations by developing action plans. To make it clear, the sale of those products is already illegal to minors. We can't make it double illegal. I mean, it's illegal. The retailers who are doing it are, in fact, breaking the law. There clearly should be actions taken against them. There's no question about it. But let's focus on proven mitigation efforts. I urge my colleagues to oppose this amendment.
Gentleman from Georgia is recognized to address the amendment.
I support the gentlelady's amendment. I don't think the FDA can do enough to disincentivize the addiction of children to nicotine. I think the amendment is well taken, and I urge its adoption.
Thank the gentleman. The gentlelady from Florida, Ms. Wasserman Schultz, is recognized to address the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I rise in support of this amendment to direct the FDA to act on the latest addictive product ensnaring our children that's on the market, nicotine pouches. As the gentlelady from Illinois explained, these pouches are problematic because they were the only tobacco product category that saw an increase in use among young people last year. And this is only the beginning of a problem we will surely fall behind on, just as we did with vapes. We're now living in the vaping epidemic. Its products are marketed to children with all the cool flavors and celebs on social media, as Congresswoman Underwood just outlined. Because big tobacco, like any predator, searches out and utilizes the best ways to directly target our kids. While we're here still arguing about how to regulate vapes and protect kids, big tobacco peddles nicotine pouches to addict more of our youth. All while they develop the next thing that will be slow and unwilling to rein in some way down the road. Sure, this is another product that adults who are trying to quit can use, but don't sell me the fairy tale that these products are the latest and greatest quote-unquote off-ramp for smokers desperate to stop. Not when the ads have people riding roller coasters, fitted out in cool colors and packaging, and they've just flooded young social media sites like TikTok. These products are more of an on-ramp for our kids. And you may want to quit, but it's another way for smokers to consume nicotine where they can't usually smoke, like planes, restaurants, or movie theaters. That's not an off-ramp. It's a new smoke break rest stop. The companies that first hooked America on deadly tobacco products are now peddling the cures, in quotes, just like modern-day snake oil salesmen. When it comes to tobacco, Congress is always 2 steps behind. And if we fail to act now, we'll pay the price tenfold years later, just like we are doing right now with vapes. Why do we need an action plan from the FDA? Because nicotine harms brain development in children, and kids in middle school and high school are using these pouches at alarming rates. This is our chance to break tradition, to beat the peddlers, and get ahead of a growing problem. We can choose to start addressing it here and now, or we can argue about the rising healthcare costs to address it and how much to fund prevention programs and education campaigns in a couple of years. Your choice. I yield back.
Thank the gentlelady. Are there other members wishing to address the amendment? Seeing none, the gentlelady from Illinois is recognized for 1 minute to close.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I certainly appreciate the opportunity to bring this amendment today. And Chairman Harris is right. This committee has taken some commendable actions to address youth nicotine use, right? The e-cigarette language is important. The language addressing combustible cigarettes, important. But this action is incomplete if we leave out nicotine pouches. We have an opportunity to really address the ills of history, which has shown that aggressive action is needed to prevent these types of youth epidemics. And if this committee does not take the opportunity to act tonight, we will be another year delayed, another year behind. So I urge all my colleagues to vote yes. Thank you.
Thank the gentlelady. The question's now on the amendment offered by the gentlelady from Illinois. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. Opinion of the chair, the noes have it. And the amendment is not adopted. Gentlelady from Illinois is recognized for an amendment.
I have an amendment at the desk, number 3, Underwood number 3. And I ask unanimous consent that the reading of the amendment be dispensed with.
Without objection, the reading of the amendment is dispensed with, and gentlelady is recognized for remarks on her amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I rise to offer an amendment that I hope will appeal to every single member of this committee. Okay, great. It will promote fiscal responsibility and government efficiency. I hope your ears are tingling. Hope y'all are perking up. Yes, those key buzzwords. Okay, great. It will return federal agencies to their core missions. Okay, I see some more paying attention. And it will ensure that federal office space is used for its intended purpose. My amendment, which I assume will earn bipartisan support, will do this by preventing USDA's office space from being misused again in the future to accommodate a military parade on a president's birthday. Friends. Okay, yes. Donald Trump's taxpayer-funded birthday party earlier this month hurt our ability to serve American farmers. Between June 1st and June 20th, for almost 3 weeks, employees were restricted from entering USDA facilities because the South Building was being used to house service members in preparation for the parade. I know many of my Republican colleagues in this committee are deeply committed to the need for federal agencies to return to their core missions. So I hope they will join me in supporting this simple amendment to do just that. On its website, USDA lists its mission areas as, quote, providing assistance to American farmers, improving health, ending hunger, ensuring food safety, providing marketing assistance to farmers, and conserving and protecting natural resources. That mission does not include Donald Trump's birthday. I'm also aware that many of my Republican colleagues, including the chairman, have expressed concern about federal employees teleworking. So I know that my colleagues were deeply distressed by the news that USDA directed many DC-based employees to work remotely for 3 weeks while their offices were used to house soldiers for the birthday parade, which again did not benefit American farmers or otherwise fulfill any part of USDA's mission. When President Abraham Lincoln established the United States Department of Agriculture, he famously called it the People's Department. I know my colleagues on this committee will share my conviction that USDA's resources must be used to serve the people and not for frivolous or wasteful purposes, such as throwing another taxpayer-funded birthday parade for an adult man. So I thank you in advance for your unanimous support of our amendment, and I yield back.
Thank you, gentlelady. Gentleman from Maryland, Dr. Harris, is recognized to address the amendment.
Thank you very much. I guess the president's misfortune is to actually be born on the same day that the U.S. Army was founded. But you know, they say you actually can't control your birthday. Can't control a birthday, can't control where you were born, can't control who your parents are. So actually, if this had been in force, if we had passed this last year, we could not have had a military parade on the 250th anniversary of the Army, because it doesn't have an exception there. It says unless under an act of Congress. And I would believe that that's something that would have been filibustered in the Senate had we done it. Because it would have been said, well, that was the president's parade. No, it was the 250th anniversary of the founding of the U.S. Army. And the world should be thankful that the U.S. Army was founded 250 years ago, and that the U.S. military is the strongest in the world, and that we demonstrated it this past weekend by making the world a much safer place. I rise in opposition to the amendment.
Thank you, gentlemen. Gentleman from Georgia, Mr. Bishop, is recognized to address the amendment.
I rise in support of the amendment. The parade was a disaster, and in my view, did not offer our Army personnel the kind of spotlight that they deserve. They pay the price for the freedoms that we enjoy. And many veterans who watched the parade expressed great disappointment. They did not feel that they were adequately given the accolades through that parade that they deserved and that they earned. Let's not do this again. I urge a yes vote, and I yield back.
Thank the gentleman. Are there other members wishing to address the amendment? Seeing none, the gentlelady is recognized for 1 minute to close.
Well, Mr. Chairman, thank you. You know, I appreciate Dr. Harris's remarks. So perhaps this means that we won't be having another military parade next year for President Trump's 80th birthday. I don't know, but I can sense that you all did not disagree with the idea of efficiency and making sure that our USDA employees had access to their offices to do their important work on behalf of American farmers. I urge a yes vote. I yield back.
Questions now on the amendment offered by the gentlelady from Illinois. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. No. The opinion of the chair, the noes have it. Roll call vote has been requested. Sufficient number in support. A recorded vote is ordered. The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Adderholt. Mr. Adderholt, no. Mr. Aguilar. Mr. Aguilar, aye. Mr. Alford. Mr. Alford, no. Mr. Amidei. Mrs. Bice. Mrs. Bice, no. Mr. Bishop. Mr. Bishop, aye. Mr. Calvert. Mr. Calvert, no. Mr. Carter. Mr. Carter, no. Mr. Case. Mr. Case, aye. Mr. Siscomani. Mr. Siscomani, no. Mr. Klein. Mr. Klein, no. Mr. Cloud. Mr. Cloud, no. Mr. Clyburn. Mr. Clyburn, aye. Mr. Clyde. Mr. Clyde, no. Mr. Cole. Mr. Cole, no. Mr. Cuellar. Ms. Dean. Ms. Dean, aye. Mr. Loro. Mr. Loro, aye. Mr. Diaz-Balart. Mr. Diaz-Balart, no. Mr. Edwards. Mr. Edwards, no. Mr. Elzey. Mr. Elzey, no. Ms. Escobar. Ms. Escobar, aye. Mr. Espaillat. Mr. Espaillat, aye. Mr. Fleischman. Mr. Fleischman, no. Ms. Frankel. Ms. Frankel, aye. Mr. Franklin. Mr. Franklin, no. Mr. Gonzalez. Mr. Gonzalez, no. Mr. Guest. Mr. Guest, no. Mr. Harder. Mr. Harder, aye. Dr. Harris. Dr. Harris, no. Mrs. Henson. Mrs. Henson, no. Mr. Hoyer. Mr. Hoyer, aye. Mr. Ivy. Mr. Ivy, aye. Mr. Joyce. Mr. Joyce, no. Ms. Capter. Ms. Capter, aye. Mr. LaLota. Mr. LaLota, no. Ms. Lee. Ms. Lee, aye. Ms. Letlow. Ms. Letlow, no. Mr. Levin. Mr. Levin, aye. Ms. Malloy. Ms. Malloy, no. Ms. McCollum. Ms. McCollum, aye. Ms. Ming. Ms. Ming, aye. Mr. Molinar. Mr. Molinar, no. Mr. Moore. Mr. Moore, no. Mr. Morelli. Mr. Morelli, aye. Mr. Mervan. Mr. Mervan, aye. Mr. Newhouse. Mr. Newhouse, no. Mr. Perez. Ms. Pingree. Ms. Pingree, aye. Mr. Pocan. Mr. Pocan, aye. Mr. Quigley. Mr. Quigley, aye. Mr. Reschenthaler? Mr. Reschenthaler, no. Mr. Rogers? Mr. Rogers, no. Mr. Rutherford? Mr. Rutherford, no. Mr. Simpson? Mr. Simpson, no. Mr. Strong? Mr. Strong, no. Mrs. Torres? Mrs. Torres, aye. Ms. Underwood? Ms. Underwood, aye. Mr. Valadeo? Mr. Valadeo, no. Ms. Wasserman Schultz? Ms. Wasserman Schultz, aye. Mrs. Watson Coleman? Mrs. Watson Coleman, aye. Mr. Womack? Mr. Womack, no. Mr. Zinke? Mr. Zinke, no.
Does any member wish to record their vote or change their vote? Gentleman from Nevada?
Mr. Amade, no.
Or any other members wishing to record or change their vote? Seeing none, the clerk will tally. On this vote, the ayes are 26, the noes are 35. The amendment is not adopted. Any further amendment or discussion? The gentlelady from Illinois is recognized for an amendment.
Mr. Chairman, I have an amendment at the desk, Underwood number 4. And I ask unanimous consent that the reading of the amendment be dispensed with.
Without objection, the reading of the amendment is dispensed with. The gentlelady is recognized for remarks on her amendment.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm offering an amendment that would direct the Secretary of Agriculture to publish a weekly report on the impact of this administration's terminations of USDA personnel and veterans employed by the department. This is a common sense, simple step towards transparency and accountability. USDA, like all federal agencies, has a responsibility to honor the service and sacrifice of those who serve by opening the doors to federal employment through special hiring authorities for veterans. These authorities help make sure that our government benefits from the leadership, discipline, and technical skills veterans bring with them. USDA and other agencies have long relied on these individuals to help implement critical programs, especially in rural communities where veterans often return to live and work. It strengthens the civil service by enabling those who have already served our country in uniform to continue their public service as civilians. But under this Trump administration's so-called efficiency efforts, we're seeing those commitments tossed aside, and America's farmers are losing out on the expertise those veterans brought to the department. DOGE has created chaos. Thousands of federal employees, including veterans, are being swept out the door with no explanation. This amendment would shine a light on what's happening by requiring USDA to publish the data on how many veterans have since been terminated or pushed into other positions. Veteran federal employees are understandably worried about job security. They should have some clarity. And taxpayers deserve to know the truth about this administration's policies. I urge my colleagues to support this amendment, and I yield back.
Thank you, gentlelady. Gentleman from Maryland, Dr. Harris, is recognized to address the amendment.
Thank you very much. As a veteran myself, I appreciate the gentlelady's desire to help the veterans, but I rise in opposition to this amendment. The fact of the matter is that the USDA understands how best to manage their own personnel, and this amendment is just more of the same attacks on the administration's ability to deal with the bureaucracy. Interestingly enough, so the effect of an amendment like this, if you think about it, because of the way it's worded, is if you fire a veteran for any reason, you got to put them on this website, or if you reassign them. Now think about that, because what if a veteran is better able to do a job somewhere else in some other part of the department? Well, they'd go on the list because you reassigned them. Perhaps they were better at something else. This is a decision that members of Congress shouldn't be making. This is a decision left to the executive branch. I support the administration's effort to root out waste, fraud, and abuse, shrink the size of the federal government as needed, which includes transfers or reassignments as necessary, and I urge my colleagues to oppose this amendment.
Thank the gentleman. Gentleman from Georgia, Mr. Bishop, is recognized to address the amendment.
This is a good amendment. It's just information. We need to know if veterans are being fired. It's no big deal. If they take an administrative action, there's no reason why they shouldn't be able to share that. It's very easy. With the IT that we have available today, No problem at all. I think it's a good amendment, and anybody who cares about veterans should support this amendment. I urge a yes vote, and I yield back.
Thank the gentleman. Are there other members wishing to address the amendment? Seeing none, the gentlelady is recognized for 1 minute to close.
Well, I know I'm not the only member of Congress hearing from the veterans in my community who've been impacted by these DOGE cuts, and I urge my colleagues to vote yes to support the veterans employed at USDA. I yield back.
Thank the gentlelady. The question's now on the amendment offered by the gentlelady from Illinois. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The opinion of the chair, the noes have it. Recorded vote has been requested. Sufficient support having been shown, the recorded vote is ordered. The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Adderholt. Mr. Adderholt, no. Mr. Aguilar. Mr. Aguilar, aye. Mr. Alford. Mr. Alford, no. Mr. Amadei. Mrs. Bice. Mrs. Bice, no. Mr. Bishop.
Yes.
Mr. Bishop, aye. Mr. Calvert. Mr. Calvert, no. Mr. Carter. Mr. Carter, no. Mr. Case. Mr. Case, aye. Mr. Siscomani. Mr. Siscomani, no. Mr. Klein. Mr. Cloud. Mr. Cloud, no. Mr. Clyburn. Mr. Clyburn, aye. Mr. Clyde. Mr. Clyde, no. Mr. Cole. Mr. Cole, no. Mr. Cuellar. Mr. Cuellar, aye. Ms. Dean. Ms. Dean, aye. Ms. DeLauro. Ms. DeLauro, aye. Mr. Diaz-Balart. Mr. Diaz-Balart, no. Mr. Edwards. Mr. Edwards, no. Mr. Elzey. Mr. Elzey, no. Ms. Escobar. Ms. Escobar, aye. Mr. Espaillat. Mr. Espaillat, aye. Mr. Fleischman. Mr. Fleischman, no. Ms. Frankel. Ms. Frankel, aye. Mr. Franklin. Mr. Franklin, no. Mr. Gonzalez. Mr. Gonzalez, no. Mr. Guest. Mr. Guest, no. Mr. Harder. Mr. Harder, aye. Dr. Harris. Dr. Harris, no. Mrs. Henson. Mrs. Henson, no. Mr. Hoyer.
Aye.
Mr. Hoyer, aye. Mr. Ivy. Mr. Ivy, aye. Mr. Joyce. Ms. Capter. Ms. Capter, aye. Mr. Lalota. Mr. Lalota, no. Ms. Lee. Ms. Lee, aye. Ms. Letlow. Ms. Letlow, no. Mr. Levin. Mr. Levin, aye. Ms. Malloy. Ms. Malloy, no. Ms. McCollum. Ms. McCollum. Aye. Ms. McCollum, aye. Ms. Ming. Ms. Ming, aye. Mr. Molinar. Mr. Molinar, no. Mr. Moore. Mr. Moore, no. Mr. Morelli. Mr. Morelli, aye. Mr. Mervan. Mr. Mervan, aye. Mr. Newhouse. Mr. Newhouse, no. Ms. Perez. Ms. Pingree. Ms. Pingree, aye. Mr. Pocan. Mr. Pocan, aye. Mr. Quigley. Mr. Quigley, aye. Mr. Reschenthaler. Mr. Reschenthaler, no. Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers, no. Mr. Rutherford. Mr. Rutherford, no. Mr. Simpson. Mr. Simpson, no. Mr. Strong. Mr. Strong, no. Mrs. Torres. Mrs. Torres, aye. Miss Underwood. Miss Underwood, aye. Mr. Valadeo. Mr. Valadeo, no. Miss Wasserman Schultz. Miss Wasserman Schultz, aye. Mrs. Watson Coleman. Mrs. Watson Coleman, aye. Mr. Womack. Mr. Womack, no. Mr. Zinke. Mr. Zinke, no.
Does any member wish to record their vote or change their vote? Gentleman from Ohio?
Mr. Joyce, no.
Gentleman from Virginia?
Mr. Klein, no.
Gentleman from Nevada?
Mr. Amadei, no.
Are there any other members wishing to record or change their vote? Not, the clerk will tally. On this vote, the ayes are 27, the noes are 35. The amendment is not adopted. A further amendment or discussion? Gentlelady from Illinois, Ms. Underwood, is recognized for an amendment.
Mr. Chairman, I have an amendment at the desk, Underwood number 5, and I ask unanimous consent that the reading be dispensed with.
Without objection, the reading of the amendment is dispensed with, and the gentlelady is recognized for remarks on her amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I rise today with an amendment to ensure maternal health care is included in the bill's pilot program to assist rural hospitals. Rural hospitals are the backbone of many communities like mine in northern Illinois, where access to quality health care can be a real challenge. So it's alarming that the number of hospitals providing obstetric services has been declining for years. In fact, at this point, less than half of rural hospitals offer labor and delivery care. In 11 states, less than 1/3 of rural hospitals are equipped for labor and delivery. My district has seen this firsthand. Closures in Ottawa and Peru have placed incredible hardships on families needing care. And my state of Illinois is one of these states, but it goes beyond Illinois. Nevada, Washington, Idaho, Kansas, and Florida are all feeling the squeeze as well. We are experiencing a maternal health crisis in this country, and it's getting worse, not better. So as we work to advance the Momnibus, my comprehensive legislation to solve America's maternal health crisis, it's critically important that any effort to support rural hospitals must also include a focus on maternal health care. We know that rural mothers face some of the highest risks in childbirth, so it's truly a matter of life and death. My amendment would ensure this pilot program explicitly covers maternal health care services because no mother or family should have to travel hundreds of miles to get the care they need. I urge my colleagues to support this amendment and to invest in rural hospitals in a way that truly meets the needs of their communities, including moms and babies. I yield back.
Thank the gentlelady. The gentleman from Maryland, Dr. Harris, is recognized to address the amendment.
Thank you very much, and I want to thank the gentlelady from Illinois for introducing the topic. In my previous life, I was an obstetric anesthesiologist and in fact practiced at a rural hospital, did about 800 deliveries a year, but I had first practiced at Hopkins, which delivers about 4,000 babies a year. It's interesting because there is a negative correlation with the number of deliveries pretty clearly, and whether or not even low-risk mothers should be delivering in hospitals with low delivery rates. Compounded by a falling birth rate in the country in general, this will probably create worse problems before it gets better. I'm not sure what the solution is. The American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology has, in fact, not put a minimum on it, but then they say things like, well, if you practice at a rural hospital, maybe your obstetrician should rotate to a high, to a hospital that does a high number of deliveries. Not very practical in many areas of the country. So it does need to be addressed. I think it should be addressed. This pilot program might come up with some of the answers. Because there actually is the need for this, so I support the gentlelady's amendment.
Gentleman from Georgia is recognized to address the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I support the amendment. I actually have no idea why it was not put in the original bill. This amendment just asks the strategies to expand and sustain maternal health be included in a pilot that is funded in the bill. Given the very high rate of maternal mortality in the United States, and particularly in our rural communities, we need to do everything we can to support maternal health. And I'm happy that the chair is accepting this amendment. I urge the committee to accept it, and I urge a yes vote, and I yield back.
There's no further debate. The gentlelady from Illinois is recognized for 1 minute to close.
Well, I thank the chairman for his support of this amendment, and I urge all my colleagues to support it as well. I look forward to the pilot program being enacted and seeing the results. I yield back.
Thank the gentlelady. The question is now on the amendment offered by the gentlelady from Illinois. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and the amendment is adopted.
One more. Yeah. Mr. Chairman, I have an amendment at the desk. Underwood number 1. And I ask unanimous consent that the reading of the amendment be dispensed with.
Without objection, the reading of the amendment is dispensed with, and the gentlelady is recognized for remarks on her amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's no secret that this administration has an extreme anti-choice, anti-freedom agenda that aims to ban abortion nationwide. We know the playbook: attack science, healthcare, our right to control our own bodies and our future. Then they say they're doing it, quote, to protect women. So when we see it, we have to call it out. It's exactly what's happening here with this latest effort to undermine the life-saving, extremely safe drug Mifepristone. Despite decades of high-quality data showing that this drug is safe, the Trump administration immediately committed to conducting a review of Mifepristone based on this one junk report from their Project 2025 allies. This so-called review isn't about safety. Nope. The science is clear and established. Mifepristone is safe. It has been FDA approved and safely used for decades. There is no valid public health reason to pursue this wasteful and unnecessary safety review of Mifepristone. It's just another thinly veiled attack on women's fundamental rights. It won't stop there, though. This is the next step on the administration's crusade to ban abortion everywhere. In this post-Dobbs landscape, access to Mifepristone is a matter of life or death for women in this country. That's why my amendment strikes the committee report language endorsing this wasteful review and prohibits any funds appropriated to the FDA from being used to restrict access to Mifepristone. The FDA faces huge challenges, and their focus needs to be on using the best tools and information available to protect our public health. Politicizing healthcare with junk science in an effort to restrict our freedoms is unacceptable. I urge my colleagues to support the amendment, and I yield back.
Thank the gentlelady. The gentleman from Maryland, Dr. Harris, is recognized to address the amendment.
Thank you very much. I rise in strong opposition to the amendment. The bottom line is that what this would do is it would tell the FDA you cannot do post-marketing surveillance on a drug because it happens to be Mifepristone. That's a very dangerous precedent. So let's talk about the quote study that was done by, I don't know how it was referred to, as a Heritage Ally or whatever. Well, many of the studies are actually done by institutions who benefit from abortion, like who financially benefit from abortion. And they have, their academic centers, they do abortions there, and then they come out and say, we don't dismiss that. We look at the quality of the data. So let's look at the quality of this data, because this is big data. Now, I've done drug studies for the FDA when I was in my previous life. Carefully controlled. These are very carefully controlled. These things are administered by physicians. They're usually administered in a clinic, in this case, for this drug. They're not ordered by mail by anybody through some third party and getting it, taking it at home with no physician contact at all. So yeah, the controlled studies indicated that serious adverse events did occur, but they're maybe 1% or so. So what do you have now? You have big data. You have the ability to look at insurance records from millions of people, not dozens or hundreds like initially controlled studies, where you look and say, okay, did this person get a payment from an insurance company to get Mifepristone? And if the answer is yes, you said, okay, let's look at the insurance company data to see what subsequent claims were made for that person, including emergency room visits for things that are directly related to the induced miscarriage, because that's what Mifepristone does. Lo and behold, when you look at big data, the serious adverse effects are 10 times as high. That doesn't mean it really is 10 times high, but it means that, wait a minute, that's called post-marketing surveillance. When you take a study and it deals with hundreds of patients, and now you have the ability to look at millions of patients, why would you not want to do that? Unless you're politically motivated to protect something. That's dangerous. FDA should always be available to do post-marketing surveillance. That's how some of the dangers of things like Celebrex occurred. One of the most popular non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs had to be taken off the market because post-marketing surveillance showed it was dangerous. Well, what if we had introduced an amendment that said you can't look at Celebrex? Oh, that's right. It's not politically charged. So now to say that this that the effort to look at as politically charged is an effort, a politically charged effort, to say the FDA can't do post-marketing surveillance. What if that result really is 10% serious adverse events? Should the FDA be allowed to change the labeling just to indicate that the incidence of side effects is higher? Of course they should. Under this amendment, they can't. They literally can't. There could be gold standard studies out there. Under this amendment, they can't do anything for this politically protected drug. That's just not good science. I don't say that, again, I don't say that study is completely accurate, but shouldn't it be looked at? When you've looked at the results of millions of patients and noted a stark difference between that and what was found with the initial research? Of course you should. Of course you should. That's exactly why we have an FDA. So I rise in strong opposition to the amendment.
Thank the gentleman. The gentleman from Georgia, Mr. Bishop, is recognized to address the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I support the amendment. In fact, I rise in strong support of the amendment. This language in the report is really a disguised effort to limit women's health choices regarding the possibility of ending a pregnancy. I don't support the language in the report blessing the reopening of the debate on the safety of Mifepristone. After all these years and all of the successful use of this drug, the safety profile of the drug is solid, despite what some members may wish. I urge a yes vote, and I yield back.
Thank the gentleman. Gentleman from Alabama, Mr. Aderholt, is recognized to address the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I rise to also to oppose this amendment. As the chairman says, it prohibits the FDA from taking important steps to protect the health of women and the unborn. As long as the prior administration's policies are in place, the abortion industry will only continue to put the lives of women at risk. There is new data that has shown by the Ethics and Public Policy Center that 1 in 10 women who take this chemical abortion, Mifepristone, have serious complications, some of them life-threatening, within 45 days, and this includes hemorrhage, infection, and sepsis. The Biden administration made a bad thing even worse when they removed the requirement that women and girls see a doctor before taking this drug. This means there's no verification of how old the baby is, or even if there's an ectopic pregnancy. Also, no plan or assurance to follow up with the care of these patients. Unsafe mail-order abortions undermine pro-life laws across the country, and I'm grateful that our Secretary of Health and Human Services and our new Commissioner for the FDA, McCary, for their commitments to investigate this dangerous drug on behalf of women and unborn children. And therefore, I would again rise to oppose this amendment, and I yield back.
Thank the gentleman. The gentlelady from Connecticut, ranking member of the full committee, Ms. Delore, is recognized to address the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I rise in support of this amendment, which clarifies that nothing in this bill may undermine the availability of Mifepristone for women seeking reproductive health care. This committee has no business calling into question the considered and overwhelming consensus of the Food and Drug Administration. Though we have seen a move away from real science on behalf of so many in this committee, and a walking away from science, there is no scientific basis for this report, and it is clearly designed just to make it harder for women to get an abortion. Mifepristone has been safely, I repeat, safely and legally used in the United States by over 5 million people since the Food and Drug Administration approved its use more than 20 years ago. It is safer compared to other common prescription drugs, such as penicillin and Viagra, which are 4 and 10 times more lethal, respectively. I would say, my friends on the other side of the aisle, let's do a report on Viagra. Mifepristone has helped ensure that patients are able to make their own private medical decisions, and it has expanded people's access to reproductive health care, especially since President Trump's handpicked judges threw decades of law and precedent out the window in their catastrophic Dobbs decision. This decision, which the American people overwhelmingly disapprove of, has forced women in states with abortion bans to travel, sometimes hundreds of miles, just to access basic health care. But that is clearly not enough for Republicans. This section has nothing to do with safety and serves only to further their goal of shutting off Mifepristone access entirely. Abortion, in particular medication abortion, is overwhelmingly safe. In states that have banned abortion, women are almost twice as likely to die during their pregnancies or soon after giving birth. Yet, in states like mine, where abortion has remained legal, maternal mortality decreased by 21% between 2022 and 2023. The decision to get an abortion should be made by a woman and her family in accordance with her faith, not by the people in this room. And they should be able to receive the care they need in a manner that makes the most sense for them. I implore the women of this country to stand up, make your voices heard about the restrictions being placed on you and your health care. Ms. Underwood's amendment supports freedom and choice for Americans. I'm proud to vote in favor of it, and I urge my colleagues to support it as well. I yield back.
Thank the gentlelady. The gentleman from Georgia, Mr. Clyde, is recognized to address the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I rise in strong opposition to this amendment. Mifepristone is the chemical abortion drug used to starve an unborn baby of the necessary nutrients to live. In 2023, it is estimated that Mifepristone accounted for 63% of abortions, resulting in approximately 642,700 unborn babies losing their lives that year. Let me rephrase that. 642,700 murdered unborn children. For years, women and girls have been misled into believing that taking Mifepristone to induce an abortion is as safe as using Tylenol. However, to back up what Chairman Adderholt said, new data indicates that nearly 1 in 10 women taking the chemical abortion pill experience serious complications, such as sepsis, infection, hemorrhage, or another serious adverse event within 45 days of taking the drug. This real-world complication rate is 22 times higher than what the FDA currently acknowledges on the Mifepristone label. In 2023, the Biden administration removed the requirement for a woman to receive Mifepristone in person from a healthcare provider. This in-person requirement allowed providers to determine gestational age, rule out life-threatening ectopic pregnancies, or identify signs of abuse before dispensing Mifepristone. This change not only poses serious medical risks, but also bypasses pro-life state laws, like our laws in Georgia, by permitting the shipping of abortion pills. And I'm going to give you an example. This is a package right here of Mifepristone, or so they say it's Mifepristone. This was ordered by a crisis pregnancy center, by a volunteer at a crisis pregnancy center in Georgia. They used a popular website to order it. They answered a few questions, put in a name and address, and about a week later, this murder drug arrived in the mail. There are no instructions. There are just 3 individual packages that look like this right here. That's it. That's all there was. No instructions. The packages had 3 numbers on them, 1, 2, and 3, and there was no identification on the packages saying what they actually are. And you know, looking at this package, I looked at, well, what's the return address? It's Jane Smith, 2301 L Street Northwest, Washington, D.C. You know what that is? That's the West End Public Library here in Washington, D.C. That's the return address on these drugs. While I believe that any abortion is a tragedy as it takes the life of an unborn child, I also recognize that for the well-being of women and girls, as long as this drug remains legal, and I hope it doesn't, we must investigate the safety and efficacy of Mifepristone and reinstate in-person dispensing requirements for this hideous and unsafe abortion drug. So I urge all my colleagues to oppose this amendment, and I yield back.
Thank the gentleman. The gentleman from West Virginia is recognized to address the amendment.
Now I thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I rise in strong opposition to the amendment. I just want to flash back here real quick. Chemical abortion, we heard it a couple times, approved in 2000 under President Clinton, had several requirements in place to protect women. Under Presidents Obama and Biden, Democrats methodically removed those safeguards, including allowing non-physicians to prescribe this dangerous drug and remove the adverse effects reporting requirement for anything other than death, and egregiously dropping all in-person requirements. As Dr. Christina Francis testified to Congress, this is extremely risky and actually should be considered medical malpractice. So why? Because complications arise from this drug, which is risky when women aren't seen in person by a doctor. Without being screened for ectopic pregnancies prior to receiving Mifepristone, women face deadly complications, as we've heard. Doctors also need to follow up after the chemical abortion is complete to ensure the remains of the dead child have been expelled so the woman doesn't end up with sepsis, which we've heard is one of the side effects of this. My colleagues across the aisle, though, they know this, but instead of acknowledging the dangers, they've chosen to use the deaths caused by chemical abortions as a political cudgel against states that protect unborn children, like my state in West Virginia, where, thank God, we have banned abortion. We have 0 weeks in place in West Virginia. Just look at the case of Amber Nicole Thurman in Georgia or Aliana Dixon in Nevada. Kamala Harris campaigned in Georgia blaming Amber's death caused by sepsis after an incomplete chemical abortion on pro-life laws. That's what she blamed it on, despite Thurman's own lawyer acknowledging that doctors had an obligation to act even under the Georgia statute. Her death is a tragedy, and it's something that we should all be mourning. The thread between all of these, the common thread between all of these tragic situations is this chemical abortion, which we're debating right now. The largest ever study of Mifepristone was recently published by scholars at the Ethics and Policy Center. We heard about that. 1 in 10 women who took it have had dangerous complications like sepsis or hemorrhaging. That's 22 times higher than what the Obama FDA approved label had claimed. And we've seen Dr. McCary has committed to reviewing new data on the safety of Mifepristone, and I applaud him for that. It's ironic that the party that claims to care about women would block the FDA from following the science and adjusting to the new data. And I urge my colleagues to reject this radical amendment. I yield back.
Thank the gentleman. Are there any others wishing to address the amendment? Seeing none, the gentlelady is recognized for 1 minute to close.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Harris mentioned that the amendment might prevent the FDA from reviewing Mifepristone or other related drugs. The FDA conducts periodic safety reviews, and this amendment does not in any way disrupt that. So number one, let's just be factual. Number two, these people at the Ethics and Public Policy Center are not scholars. They are a religious advocacy organization. They have no medical training. They did not publish their report in any kind of rigor. There was no peer review. It was not a scientific journal. They're out here operating on vibes, and we have to reject this dangerous information, and certainly make sure that we do not fund Robert Kennedy's review. I yield back.
The question's now on the amendment offered by the gentlelady from Illinois. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. No. The opinion of the chair, the noes have it. Roll call has been requested. Sufficient number of hands have been raised. The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Adderholt. Mr. Adderholt, no. Mr. Aguilar. Mr. Alford. Mr. Alford, no. Mr. Amade. Mrs. Bice. Mrs. Bice, no. Mr. Bishop. Mr. Bishop, aye. Mr. Calvert. Mr. Calvert, no. Mr. Carter. Mr. Carter, no. Mr. Case. Mr. Case, aye. Mr. Siscomani. Mr. Siscomani, no. Mr. Klein. Mr. Cloud. Mr. Cloud, no. Mr. Clyburn. Mr. Clyburn, aye. Mr. Clyde. Mr. Clyde, no. Mr. Cole.
No.
Mr. Cole, no. Mr. Cuellar. Ms. Dean. Ms. DeLauro. Ms. DeLauro, aye. Mr. Diaz-Balart. Mr. Diaz-Balart, no. Mr. Edwards. Mr. Edwards, no. Mr. Elzey. Mr. Elzey, no. Ms. Escobar. Mr. Espaillat. Mr. Espaillat, aye. Mr. Fleischman. Mr. Fleischman, no. Ms. Frankel. Ms. Frankel, aye. Mr. Franklin. Mr. Franklin, no. Mr. Gonzalez. Mr. Gonzalez, no. Mr. Guest. Mr. Guest, no. Mr. Harder. Mr. Harder, aye. Dr. Harris. Dr. Harris, no. Mrs. Henson. Mrs. Henson, no. Mr. Hoyer. Mr. Hoyer, aye. Mr. Ivy. Mr. Ivy, aye. Mr. Joyce. Ms. Captor. Ms. Captor, aye. Mr. Lalota. Mr. Lalota, no. Ms. Lee. Ms. Lee, aye. Ms. Letlow. Ms. Letlow, no. Mr. Levin. Mr. Levin, aye. Ms. Malloy. Ms. Malloy, no. Ms. McCollum. Ms. Ming. Ms. Ming, aye. Mr. Molinar. Mr. Molinar, no. Mr. Moore. Mr. Moore, no. Mr. Morelli. Mr. Morelli, aye. Mr. Mervan. Mr. Mervan, aye. Mr. Newhouse. Mr. Newhouse, no. Ms. Perez. Ms. Perez, aye. Ms. Pingree. Ms. Pingree, aye. Mr. Pocan. Mr. Pocan, aye. Mr. Quigley. Mr. Quigley, aye. Mr. Reschenthaler. Mr. Reschenthaler, no. Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers, no. Mr. Rutherford. Mr. Rutherford, no. Mr. Simpson. Mr. Simpson, no. Mr. Strong. Mr. Strong, no. Ms. Torres. Mrs. Torres, aye. Ms. Underwood. Ms. Underwood, aye. Mr. Valadeo. Mr. Valadeo, no. Ms. Wasserman-Schultz. Ms. Wasserman-Schultz, aye. Mrs. Watson-Coleman. Mrs. Watson-Coleman, aye. Mr. Womack. Mr. Womack, no. Mr. Zinke. Mr. Zinke, no.
Does any member wish to, excuse me, does any member wish to record their vote or change their vote? Gentleman from California.
Mr. Aguilar, aye.
Gentlelady from Texas.
Ms. Escobar, aye.
Gentleman from Ohio.
Mr. Joyce, no.
Gentleman from Virginia.
Mr. Klein, no.
Gentleman from Nevada.
Mr. Amade, no.
Gentlelady from Minnesota. Gentlelady's not recorded. How would?
Ms. McCollum, aye.
Do any other members wish to record or change their votes? Seeing none, the clerk will tally. On this vote, the ayes are 26, the noes are 35. The amendment is not adopted. Is there any further amendment or discussion? Gentleman from California, Mr. Levin, is recognized for an amendment.
I have an amendment at the desk.
Would the gentleman care to have the reading dispensed with?
Mr. Chairman, I ask for unanimous consent that the reading of this amendment be dispensed with.
Without objection, the reading of the amendment is dispensed with, and the gentleman's recognized for remarks on his amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In March, DOJ listed on their website hundreds of federal agency offices all across the country slated to be closed. This termination list included over 100 USDA offices and service centers that provide critical person-to-person resources for our farmers, ranging from loans, grants, and conservation technical assistance programs that are tailored to local needs. The demand for readily available, high-quality, locally focused technical assistance for producers to adopt and expand conservation practices has been steadily increasing, and in many cases, programs are oversubscribed. These services will be a key component to ensuring our agricultural system can weather stressors from climate change like drought, flooding, and other extreme conditions. These offices help farmers to address critical needs like soil health, water quality, and forest land conservation. These service centers and the staff who work in them are trusted by farmers to help maintain and improve the health of their lands. For example, through the Conservation Technical Assistance Program at NRCS, landowners and farmers can develop conservation plans tailored to the needs of their specific operation. CTA helps farmers implement practices that improve productivity, increase resilience in the face of extreme weather, and improve clean water, water efficiency, soil health, air quality, and much more. Simply put, we all need to eat, so we all benefit from the services like this that these service centers provide. Setting aside the fact that the DOJ list has been in flux, which is causing even more uncertainty and chaos, the intent to close down any service center will mean that farmers have to spend even more time navigating a complex system or driving hundreds of miles to access basic services. Our farmers already have hard enough jobs, and they're only made worse when USDA isn't doing what they promised to do, which is be there for our farmers. This amendment is one line. It's incredibly simple. It says that USDA cannot close down any of these service centers. Indiscriminate office closures are bad for our farmers, our ranchers, and our rural communities, and they further compound the other inefficiencies that the administration is creating through staff reductions and funding freezes. On top of that, DOJ's gutting of the National Weather Service means that it'll be much harder for farmers to know the optimal time to plant or harvest to respond rapidly to extreme weather events. I hope we can all agree that we should protect our farmers' access to critical services. This should in no way be a partisan amendment, and I urge my colleagues to support preventing DOJ from closing any of these service centers in red states or in blue states so that our farmers can continue to rely on this crucial assistance to ensure the resilience of their farms and their livelihoods. And with that, I'll yield back.
Thank the gentleman. The gentleman from Maryland, Dr. Harris, is recognized to address the amendment.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I rise in opposition to the amendment. The bill already recognizes the importance of county farm service agency offices to serving farmers and ranchers by continuing to include the longstanding prohibition of the closure of county offices. Many of the other USDA offices originally identified by DOJ for possible closure have since been taken off the list after further review. I think that's what Americans expect us to do, is look at everything. You know, some zero-based budgeting with regards to this, and that's what was done. But in other cases, there may be 2 or more separate USDA offices that literally could be across the street from each other, and this amendment actually would disallow consolidation. I mean, that makes no sense whatsoever, because in the changing environment of the rural areas, it may make sense, in fact, to consolidate USDA offices into one facility. This amendment wouldn't even allow that. The amendment's really just an overreaction to the administration attempting to find efficiencies that would save taxpayers' monies while preserving services to our agriculture community. I urge my colleagues to oppose the amendment.
Thank the gentleman. The gentleman from Georgia, Mr. Bishop, is recognized to address the amendment.
I rise in strong support of the gentleman's amendment. We have a provision under the Farm Service Agency that prohibits county office closures. With the passage of time, FSA offices are now co-located with NRCS offices, and together they are referred to as service centers. Given the workforce changes under this administration, there's a real risk that USDA will try to close the service centers unless we stop it. Our farmers and the stakeholders of USDA need the personnel and they need the officers. Right now in my district, I have farmers that are complaining that they don't have service centers that they can get the services that they need. I urge a yes vote on this amendment, and I yield back.
I thank the gentleman. Are there other members wishing to address the amendment? If not, the gentleman from California is recognized for 1 minute to close.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Respectfully, I ask for all my colleagues, just look at the list of those offices that are at risk of closure. It's around 50 offices. Roughly 35 of them are in the red states, as we like to say, and around 15 are in the blue states. And respectfully to the chairman, there are no offices across the street from each other. So before you take this vote, just take a look to see if there are offices in your state, your district, and if there are, I'd ask you to consider the impact that this will have on your community before you take this vote. With that, I'll yield back.
Thank the gentleman. The question is now on the amendment offered by the gentleman from California. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Opinion of the chair, the noes have it.
Roll call.
Roll call has been requested. Sufficient support having been shown, the clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Adderholt. Mr. Adderholt, no. Mr. Aguilar. Mr. Aguilar, aye. Mr. Alford. Mr. Alford, no. Mr. Amade. Mr. Amade, no. Mrs. Bice. Mrs. Bice, no. Mr. Bishop. Mr. Bishop, aye. Mr. Calvert. Mr. Calvert, no. Mr. Carter. Mr. Carter, no. Mr. Case. Mr. Case, aye. Mr. Siscomani. Mr. Klein. Mr. Cloud. Mr. Cloud, no. Mr. Clyburn. Mr. Clyburn, aye. Mr. Clyde. Mr. Clyde, no. Mr. Cole.
No.
Mr. Cole, no. Mr. Cuellar. Mr. Cuellar, aye. Ms. Dean. Mr. Loro. Mr. Diaz-Balart. Mr. Diaz-Balart, no. Mr. Edwards. Mr. Edwards, no. Mr. Elzey. Mr. Elzey, no. Ms. Escobar. Mr. Espaillat. Mr. Espaillat, aye. Mr. Fleischman. Mr. Fleischman, no. Ms. Frankel. Ms. Frankel, aye. Mr. Franklin. Mr. Franklin, no. Mr. Gonzalez. Mr. Gonzalez, no. Mr. Guest. Mr. Guest, no. Mr. Harder. Mr. Harder, aye. Dr. Harris. Dr. Harris, no. Mrs. Hinson. Mrs. Hinson, no. Mr. Hoyer. Mr. Hoyer, aye. Mr. Ivy. Mr. Ivy, aye. Mr. Joyce. Mr. Joyce, no. Ms. Captor. Ms. Captor, aye. Mr. Lalota. Mr. Lalota, no. Ms. Lee. Ms. Lee, aye. Ms. Letlow. Ms. Letlow, no. Mr. Levin. Mr. Levin, aye. Ms. Malloy. Ms. McCullum. Ms. McCullum, aye. Ms. Ming. Ms. Ming, aye. Mr. Molinar. Mr. Molinar, no. Mr. Moore. Mr. Moore, no. Mr. Morelli. Mr. Morelli, aye. Mr. Mervan. Mr. Mervan, aye. Mr. Newhouse. Mr. Newhouse, no. Ms. Perez. Ms. Perez, no. Ms. Pingree. Ms. Pingree, aye. Mr. Pocan. Mr. Pocan, aye. Mr. Quigley. Mr. Quigley, aye. Mr. Reschenthaler. Mr. Reschenthaler, no. Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers, no. Mr. Rutherford. Mr. Rutherford, no. Mr. Simpson. Mr. Simpson, no. Mr. Strong. Mr. Strong, no. Mrs. Torres. Mrs. Torres, aye. Ms. Underwood. Ms. Underwood, aye. Mr. Valadeo. Mr. Valadeo, no. Ms. Wasserman Schultz. Ms. Wasserman Schultz, aye. Mrs. Watson Coleman. Mrs. Watson Coleman, aye. Mr. Womack. Mr. Womack, no. Mr. Zinke. Mr. Zinke, no.
Does any member wish to record their vote or change their vote? Gentlelady from Connecticut. Gentlelady is not recorded.
Mr. Loro, aye.
Gentlelady from Utah.
Ms. Malloy, no.
Gentleman from Arizona.
Mr. Siscomani, no.
The gentleman from Virginia.
Mr. Klein, no.
Gentlelady from Texas.
Ms. Escobar, aye.
Are there other members wishing to record or change their vote? Seeing none, the clerk will tally. On this vote, the ayes are 26, the noes are 36. The amendment is not adopted. Is there any further amendment or discussion? I now recognize Chairman Harris to offer a Republican en bloc amendment.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I have amendment number 5, Harris number 5 at the desk, and ask unanimous consent to dispense with the reading.
Without objection, the reading of the amendment is dispensed with, and the gentleman's recognized to explain his amendment.
Thank you very much. To save a little time, this is a Republican en bloc amendment, includes Harris Amendment number 4, Cloud Amendment number 1, Alford Amendment number 1, and some FDA committee report language. I ask your support for this en bloc amendment.
The gentleman from Georgia, Mr. Bishop, is recognized to address the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I rise in opposition to the amendment en bloc. I have concerns about each piece of it. Briefly, we all support Buy America, but adding WIC, which is a small relative to SNAP, will only complicate the study the gentleman from Maryland seeks to have. I oppose the Cloud Amendment. We've been down this path before, and I see no way in which it will be included in the final bill. On the Alford Amendment, while I'm pleased that funding is included for urban agriculture, it is changing it to a 50-50 cost share. And that's a drastic change, and it shouldn't be included in the bill. There's also report language that we got an hour or so ago on a dietary supplement that we haven't had an opportunity to vet. Because of that, I oppose the Republican en bloc amendment and urge its defeat. And with that, I yield back.
Thank the gentleman. Do any other members seek recognition to speak on the en bloc amendment? Gentleman from Missouri is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I rise in support of this en bloc amendment from our Chair of Subcommittee, Dr. Harris. I want to explain how this all came about, because 2 weeks ago, when our friend from Ohio, Ms. Capter, produced the amendment for the full funding of $8 million in federal grant money, it lost. That amendment was defeated because it was too much of a federal grant, too much federal taxpayer dollars going into this program. I was a little bit disturbed of that because while I realized that, look, we're going broke as a nation, we need to cut back on our spending, I also realize I have seen some of these programs firsthand in the urban core of Kansas City, where we've worked with families, and I know firsthand that families, especially young people who actually grow their own food and in areas that they would not get to, have a better appreciation for healthier foods. And in the long term, it's going to take stress off of our healthcare system because they're going to be eating healthier. And at the same time, they have a greater appreciation for what our farmers and producers do in the rural parts of America that I actually represent now. We have some 87,000 farms in the state of Missouri, but we are losing 1,000 farms in America a month. Our food security is our national security. And when we have a better appreciation, even folks in the urban core, from where our food is grown, that is going to lead to more production, a better appreciation for our producers, and a more symbiotic relationship, but even between our SNAP program, which we're trying to make adjustments in that and making it more healthy. If we want people to eat healthier, we have to help them along the way to find out what healthy foods are, and what better way to do that than to grow your own food and be part of these urban programs. I went to Dr. Harris and said, sir, can we find a solution to this? Can we negotiate something to where this is a win-win? And I thought he had a brilliant idea of a cost share program where the federal government would put in $4 million, and then the recipients of these programs, whether it be state or municipalities, would put up their skin in the game to help their citizenry, their constituents, and their people have a healthier, better lifestyle with a greater appreciation for farming and production in the United States of America. I urge you to vote yes on this. I've talked to Ms. Capter about this. I know there's some issues with the other amendments in this en bloc, but I thank you so much, and I yield back.
Thank the gentleman. The gentlelady from Ohio, Ms. Capter, is recognized to address the amendment.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And I would just place a plea before Chairman Harris to say that I really want to vote on an amendment to strengthen U.S.-based farmers, U.S.-based, and local agriculture and food production as a percent of all of our food consumption as a country. And I start with the question, from where will the next generation of farmers in this country come? Folks, where will they come from? We know farming requires hard work and ingenuity, discipline, intelligence, and perseverance, despite weather, and the weather is changing. But let me give you some numbers. Since 1960, the average age of U.S. farmers has increased 7.6 years, almost 8 years. The average farmer is about 58 years old from coast to coast. You can look around. Now, compared to 1945, that's going back a bit, farmers now are 9.5 years older than they were back then. And since 2017, it's gone up another half a year. So the trend, folks, is in the wrong direction. I don't hear much discussion about this, but it is simply vitally important to pay attention to. Statistics don't lie. I also want to say exports versus imports. Record agricultural exports, okay, between 2021, 2022, our country sent out quite a bit, but we imported even more. More imports coming in than exports going out. That's not a winning solution. U.S. agricultural trade balance was positive for 60 years until 2019, when it shifted to a deficit. Pay attention. Imports rose 6% between 2014 and 2024. Exports down. Well, actually, exports were up about 0.5%, 0.75%. I hear a lot of discussions about amendments and so forth. Mr. Chairman, I plead with you, before we go to the floor, let's go to rules. Let's really work on some proposals in this bill to move these numbers in a direction to invest in the USA in agriculture again, and I'll end with this. Agricultural imports grew by 6% between 2014 and 2024. $213 billion we're importing in high-value fruits, vegetables, essential oils, tree nuts, alcohol. I don't know what happened to Kentucky, but where are they? Nursery stock, beef imports, processed foods. The numbers are moving in the wrong direction, and we are not attracting enough young people into agriculture. How do we adapt our current programs, Mr. Chairman? And you've named some of them, but only some, to invest in the next generation of U.S. farmers. And the only way you can start is by working with the farmers who are still in the fields working extremely hard, and they don't like to exist just on cash payments to their mailbox. They want to be successful in exports, and that isn't happening right now. So I want to place that out there. We have a lot of amendments that are being offered on this, that, and the other, but there is a real problem in this country. And I would really like to work with the chairman and the other members who care about the next generation of agriculture. So my hope is, though I can't support this combination of amendments, I see us missing the home run in agriculture, and we need to have it very soon. The weather is making it even more difficult, and that's going to require ingenuity on our part, and I yield back. Thank you all very much.
Thank the gentlelady. I will say, as the former chairman of the Rules Committee, I'm always pleased but astonished when anybody asks to go there. So, but I thank the gentlelady. Gentleman from Wisconsin, Mr. Pocan, is recognized to address the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was just wondering if Mr. Harris would yield to a question. I know you kind of very quickly put the amendment out there, but we didn't really go into any detail. I just had a question. If you could, just because I only have 5 minutes, 20-second description of what the agricultural urgency of protecting the freedom of religion from government discrimination is, if you could please explain that briefly.
That's part of the en bloc amendment. That's Mr. Cloud's amendment. I don't know if you want to yield time to Mr. Cloud to explain it.
Well, you're the chair, and you're usually the one who describes the amendment in the beginning. I know we're kind of moving quickly, but could you just briefly explain the agricultural urgency importance?
I think that if you want the best information, I'm not sure why you won't yield to the maker of the amendment.
Yeah, I don't blame you for not wanting to address it, I guess. I don't know if there's going to be future amendments that allow us to discriminate against people who eat shellfish or people who wear mixed fibers. Certainly, if we're going to be pure and purely making sure that we're discriminating against people, we should, use all aspects of the Bible, not just discriminating against. I appreciate that you didn't want to defend it, because trust me, I wouldn't want to be in your position either on this. Look, we couldn't even vote for an amendment to find out why 40% of dairy farmers don't have health insurance because they're working year-round taking care of the cows in the agricultural bill, but somehow we're saying you should be able to discriminate someone simply for who they're legally married to. Now, we could go through and have this debate, and I assume you're going to add this to every single bill. You could have done it earlier, but it's so much more fun to do here. Because, hell, this is fantasy Congress, right? We're not really doing the budget, right? I mean, fantasy football, it's fun to play. Sometimes it doesn't mean anything. We don't have all of our numbers. We don't have the big, beautiful bill for billionaires done, anything else. So what we're going through is this great fantasy Congress moment, and it makes us have lots of late nights together and lots of snacks. But if you're going to put amendments out there that attack people like me simply because I'm married to my husband, and you're saying you can discriminate, somehow someone can refuse to sell me cheese or whatever the hell this amendment means, I really don't know. But I don't blame the chairman for not wanting to try to justify this, because this is pretty ridiculous that we're having this debate at 9:40 in an agricultural bill. But I'm sure as hell not going to just shut up if you're going to do this. And if you're going to do every bill, I'm going to make sure we read it then. I don't think we don't need to just automatically ignore it. I want every word to be entered into the record. Of course, we don't actually keep a record here. We found that out, right, when we do the words. But look, I mean, we are a democracy. We're not a theocracy. If we're going to have amendments that allow people to discriminate, at least, do it in the regular bill. The fact that you bring these out and you throw it in amendments like this. I mean, Mr. Chair, I agree with one part of this. There's the part on kratom, I think, is a great amendment, and I strongly agree with it. But when you start taking into, because it's related to the FDA, it's related to actually what this bill's about. But if you're just going to put a portion in so you can pound your chest and say that somehow, you're stopping people from loving who they love, and you're going to put it in every single bill, this is so ridiculous. No, actually, that's a lie. This is beyond so ridiculous that we go through this. This is insulting to your staff who may be out. This is insulting to some of your members who may not be out yet. This is insulting to the many members on our side who are out. And, I know we've had this fight every time, and you guys just love to have this fight. But we're better than this. And if you can't even have the cojones to justify it as the chair of the committee, doesn't that speak volumes? Like, you whisk by it in describing it, and then when you're asked about it, you still don't want to talk about it. I don't blame you, Mr. Chair. I respect that, because this is ridiculous to put this at this level into a bill like this. So if you're going to do it every bill, I'll rise every bill. I'll try to get creative. I'll give you some new stuff. But, at least I got to admit, I respect you more, Mr. Subcommittee Chair, for not wanting to justify this bill verbally, because it clearly is full of it.
Thank the gentleman. Do any other members seek recognition to speak to the en bloc amendment? The gentleman from Texas is recognized.
Hello. I can understand why the gentleman didn't want to yield me any time, because then he might get a real answer. This amendment would add bill text to the language prohibiting the federal government from taking discriminatory action against a person wholly or partly on the basis that that person speaks, acts, or in accordance with sincerely held religious belief, moral conviction, that marriage is or should be recognized as a union between man or woman. This does not target an individual. The question, I understand, what does this have to do with ag? Here's what it does. A gentleman who owns a beef company in Michigan was threatened with the closure of his business by the U.S. Department of Ag, who was there to inspect whether or not he was processing his beef properly. What they found in the break room was a couple tracks, because he, as a small business owner, happened to have some tracks in his pamphlets in his break room that had to deal with marriage. They did not point anybody out. They weren't derogatory, my understanding is. But because of that, they decided to close his business. The USDA beef inspectors worked to close his business. He was threatened with that. Thankfully, we was able to push back on that, and that didn't happen. But this is the kind of thing that people have been under threat with when we've heard the stories about businesses being closed because of bakers and all that kind of thing. Well, the USDA had previously been trying to do this as well. We want to make sure that doesn't happen. This is not targeted against any one individual. It's making sure that the federal government and the agencies thereof cannot discriminate against business owners, businesses, entities, and the like for exercising their religious and strongly held beliefs.
Would the gentleman yield?
I yield back to the chair.
Mr. Chairman.
Gentlelady's recognized to address the amendment.
Well, what's a tract? We just weren't really sure what you were referring to. The gentleman yielded. Would I be able to yield some time back to the author to clarify his comments? A pamphlet? A Christian pamphlet, he said. Okay, so it sounds like there's a Christian pamphlet that perhaps someone saw that made them uncomfortable. I don't know. Thank you. I yield back.
Any other members seek recognition to speak on the en bloc amendment? Gentleman from Maryland, recognized. Mike.
We've all experienced this too often. And that is somebody asserts a fact either in social media or in here or something, and this awful thing happened because of X. I'd like to know what X is, who X is, because I don't think it happened. And I think it's being used to justify something that is totally unrelated to agriculture. He could have had a plant manufacturing automobiles, presumably, or whatever. But I don't think this happened. And I went and asked my friend, Mr. Clyde, to tell me who, Cloud, excuse me, tell how close we are. I'd ask my friend, Mr. Cloud, to give me names, addresses, and phone numbers, because I don't believe it happened. Yes, certainly.
I will be happy to show you. I will not, because we all know how your side of the aisle tends to like to dox people. So I'm not going to say it in this forum, but I'll be happy to show you.
Likes to what?
To dox people.
Dox? I don't know what he said. I'll look for, Mr. Chairman, I'll look forward to getting the information and following up. Thanks, my friend.
What does it have to do with agriculture?
Any other members seek recognition to speak to the en bloc amendment? Not. The question is on the amendment. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no.
No. No.
Well, I was ahead of myself. The gentleman has 1 minute to close. I apologize for that. The gentleman's recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for reminding me.
I certainly have the cojones to address it. The issue is why wouldn't the questioner want the actual offer of the amendment to do it? Well, I'll tell you why. Because I want to play politics with this. This has everything to do with Department of Agriculture because I do believe this kind of event occurs. Because that's what the last administration did. That's the way they conducted business. So the bottom line is this just says you can't conduct business in that way. That's just one of the amendments. Look, I wanted to save time making this an en bloc amendment. Maybe I should have separated them all out, but it sits as an en bloc amendment, and I urge a yes vote on the en bloc amendment.
Thank the gentleman for not breaking up the amendment. The question is now on the amendment. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. No. Opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. Roll call has been requested. Sufficient number of hands having been raised in support. The clerk will call the roll. Well, it's always a good thing to rise.
Mr. Adderholt. Mr. Adderholt, aye. Mr. Aguilar. Mr. Aguilar, no. Mr. Alford. Mr. Alford, aye. Mr. Amade. Mr. Amade, aye. Mrs. Bice. Mrs. Bice, aye. Mr. Bishop. Mr. Bishop, no. Mr. Calvert. Mr. Calvert, aye. Mr. Carter. Mr. Carter, aye. Mr. Case. Mr. Case, no. Mr. Siscomani. Mr. Siscomani, aye. Mr. Klein. Mr. Cloud. Mr. Cloud, aye. Mr. Clyburn. Mr. Clyburn, no. Mr. Clyde. Mr. Clyde, aye. Mr. Cole. Mr. Cole, aye. Mr. Cuellar. Mr. Cuellar, no. Ms. Dean. Ms. DeLauro.
No.
Ms. DeLauro, no. Mr. Diaz-Balart. Mr. Diaz-Balart, aye. Mr. Edwards. Mr. Edwards, aye. Mr. Elzey. Mr. Elzey, aye. Ms. Escobar. Ms. Escobar, no. Mr. Espaillat. Mr. Espaillat, no. Mr. Fleischman. Mr. Fleischman, aye. Ms. Frankel. Ms. Frankel, no. Mr. Franklin. Mr. Franklin, aye. Mr. Gonzalez. Mr. Gonzalez, aye. Mr. Guest. Mr. Guest, aye. Mr. Harder. Mr. Harder, no. Dr. Harris. Dr. Harris, aye. Mrs. Hinson. Mrs. Hinson, aye. Mr. Hoyer.
No.
Mr. Hoyer, no. Mr. Ivy. Mr. Ivy, no. Mr. Joyce. Mr. Joyce, aye. Ms. Captor.
Sadly, no.
Ms. Captor, no. Mr. LaLota. Mr. LaLota, aye. Ms. Lee. Ms. Lee, no. Ms. Letlow. Ms. Letlow, aye. Mr. Levin. Mr. Levin, no. Ms. Malloy. Ms. Malloy, aye. Ms. McCollum. Ms. McCollum, no. Ms. Ming. Ms. Ming, no. Mr. Molinar. Mr. Molinar, aye. Mr. Moore. Mr. Moore, aye. Mr. Morelli. Mr. Morelli, no. Mr. Mervan. Mr. Mervan, no. Mr. Newhouse. Mr. Newhouse, aye. Ms. Perez. Ms. Perez, no. Ms. Pingree. Ms. Pingree, no. Mr. Pocan. Mr. Pocan, no. Mr. Quigley. Mr. Quigley, no. Mr. Reschenthaler. Mr. Reschenthaler, aye. Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers, aye. Mr. Rutherford. Mr. Rutherford, no. Mr. Simpson. Mr. Rutherford, aye. Mr. Simpson. Mr. Simpson, aye. Mr. Strong. Mr. Strong, aye. Mrs. Torres. Mrs. Torres, no. Miss Underwood. Miss Underwood, no. Mr. Valadeo. Mr. Valadeo, aye. Miss Wasserman Schultz. Miss Wasserman Schultz, no. Mrs. Watson Coleman. Mrs. Watson Coleman, no. Mr. Womack. Mr. Womack, aye. Mr. Zinke. Mr. Zinke. Mr. Zinke, aye.
Do any members wish to record their vote or change their vote? Gentleman from Virginia. Are there any other members?
Mr. Klein, aye.
Any other members wishing to record or change their vote? If not, the clerk will tally. On this vote, the ayes are 35, the noes are 27. The amendment is adopted. Gentlelady from Pennsylvania Washington, I beg your pardon, is recognized for an amendment. Ms. Press. Without objection, the reading of the amendment is dispensed with, and the gentlelady is recognized for remarks on her amendment.
I'd like to thank the committee for their attention and endurance here as we close out our amendments on the Ag Bill. My amendment is on the WIC single purchasing contract system. And if you look back at the history of this bill, what you'll see is that the committee was concerned with the rising cost of higher. I chose you because you're tall. With the rising per month cost of monthly expenditures on food costs under WIC. And what you will see, if you don't support this amendment for any other reason than support it because you'll see it did not fix the problem it purported to fix. It continued to rise through the 80s, through the 70s, and thank you very much. That was very helpful. In response, food costs per WIC participants have increased. And interestingly, we have a situation where states are receiving a 77% discount on the wholesale price, resulting in non-WIC families bearing a higher cost of supporting the entire industry. Roughly 50% of infant formula purchases are made by WIC participants. This population would normally be very price sensitive. They would pay close attention to the cost. But due to the subsidies and the entire cost of their formula being reimbursed by the WIC program, they're no longer sensitive. So this is a green light to manufacturers to increase the cost of infant formula for non-WIC families to whatever rate will allow them to earn the entire contract. We all agree here, I believe, that having affordable access to infant formula is important. But currently, we have a situation where the federal government is subsidizing consolidation among manufacturers, increasing costs for WIC families, and distorting the market. You have a more fragile system that's more vulnerable to any kind of market or supply chain disruption. You'll get a market where a company's success is based on whether they're awarded a state contract, not the free market. When one of our largest states secured a different supplier through this single purchaser contract system in 2007, sales of the former brand decreased from 90% of the market share to just 5% of the market share. This has a profound impact on the market. You have a system where now smaller manufacturers are no longer able to enter the market or to compete. You are building consolidation within the system itself through the WIC single purchase agreement. My amendment asks USDA to study and report on consolidation in the infant formula market, including recommendations for whether and how Congress could alter the single supply model to address these issues. I urge my colleagues to support this amendment. I thank you for your attention. I cannot tell you how much this matters to so many young families and the future health of our country. I yield back.
Thank the gentlelady. The gentleman from Maryland, Dr. Harris, is recognized to address the amendment.
Thank you very much. I want to thank the gentlelady from Washington State to bring this to the attention of this committee and then ultimately, hopefully, to the body. Look, it's very interesting what happens with infant formula. When I used to work in on the labor and delivery floors, the manufacturers give you the samples to mothers. First of all, discouraging breastfeeding, and second of all, that's their sales pitch. And a lot of those mothers, that's the brand they would end up with, regardless of what's in it. And there are differences between different formulas. So actually, if you have consolidation of the system, what you're doing is you're saying that we're taking away the ability of a young mother, because they're on the WIC program, to say, wait a minute, I think this formula might be better than that formula. And especially, and I've spoken to the FDA commissioner about this, is actually looking at broadening the number of formulas that are actually improved. My youngest daughter, who's a nurse, when she had her children, she looked at these formulas and she said, oh, those European formulas, very different formula, very, very different ingredients. And acknowledged to be probably better than what we have here, but of course not available here. Now, this is something that shouldn't exist. I mean, we really should have and I've talked to Mr. Kennedy about it as well, Secretary Kennedy. They want to look at this subject. I think this is a good first step. This is the first step that says, look, within the WIC program, there is no reason why you have to have single source in a state. I mean, a state like Wyoming, a state like New York, both single source. Now, come on. I mean, or California, they could easily have multiple sources, and with the competitors bidding for the multiple sources, it makes a lot of sense. So I urge the committee to support the amendment.
Gentleman from Georgia, Mr. Bishop, is recognized to address the amendment.
I thank the gentlelady for her amendment. You know, we all lived through the infant formula crisis, as did the mothers and the fathers of infants who struggle to feed their babies. Anything we can do to learn more about the economic forces that have led to such concentration in the market has my support and should have the support of everybody in here. It was a bad time. We had to import formula for America's babies because of concentration in the marketplace. We can't allow that to happen again. We need to study it. I support this amendment. It's a great amendment, and I urge its support.
Thank the gentleman. Gentlelady from Connecticut, ranking member of the full committee, is recognized to address the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I rise in support of this amendment, which builds on the work that I really have done for years to address market consolidation in the infant formula industry. We will never forget, I will never forget the fear and panic that swept through our nation in February of 2022, when an Abbott nutrition facility making nearly 40% of U.S. infant formula faced a recall due to a deadly bacterial contamination at a production plant in Sturgis, Michigan, and a company, I might add, that knowingly sold a contaminated product. Neither will the parents like Caitlin Bristol of Hartford, who drove for hours to search for formula on empty store shelves, mothers who were forced to pay hundreds of dollars for formula from resellers, fathers who begged for help in Facebook groups like Find My Formula Connecticut, and grandparents and babysitters who had to stretch precious formula supplies, risking malnutrition and seizure for the children in their care. They cannot forget. The shutdown of the Sturgis plant was so devastating and far-reaching because Abbott is one of only 2 companies that hold near majority control of the U.S. infant formula market. We are plagued by what my colleague from Washington calls a duopoly that is not just bad for consumers, but dangerous for children. I led the call for a comprehensive investigation into this outbreak, including the USDA's Inspector General report that was issued last year, which focused on the role of inspections and the FDA. But stronger and more frequent inspections are only one part of the solution. We must deal with the issue of consolidation and the extreme power that it gives these companies head on. It's broadening the approval of infant formula is not enough because these major companies are the only ones that get to compete. Over half of the country's infant formula is purchased by state agencies through the WIC program. We cannot address market consolidation without including WIC in the conversation. I cannot stress this enough. We need to increase supply and competition while keeping WIC costs low. I do have drafted legislation to address this consolidation through tax credits to help smaller infant formula companies compete in the market, actively working on additional legislation to tackle the consolidation issue head on. I'm confident that the language included in this amendment will help provide even more data to help guide our response. There are a few things that we do every day. We sleep, we eat, we feed our children. These things should be beyond safe. I would just say I'm pleased that the chair will accept this amendment, but we need to look at the safety concerns by manufacturers of preterm infant formula. The least we can do to prevent a future outbreak is to confront the root issue of consolidation. Grateful to my colleague from Washington State for offering this amendment. I hope that my colleagues, and it appears so, can recognize the nonpartisan goal of protecting our children. And it would appear that my colleagues on both sides of the aisle will support this amendment, and I yield back. Congratulate the gentlelady.
I thank the gentlelady. Is there any other member wishing to address the amendment? If not, the gentlelady, a gentleman from West Virginia.
I promise I'll be brief. I just thank the gentlelady for her amendment. I had an infant child during that crisis, which the ranking member just touched on, from 2022, and all, particularly hypoallergenic formula, just skyrocketed for everybody. You spend like $50, $60 for just a can of this. And thank you so much for bringing this to committee's attention. We also heard the ranking member of the subcommittee. We should never be relying on a foreign source to be able to feed our children in this country. It's criminal. We should not allow that to be happening. The consolidation that's been going on in this field for far too long, we've got to do something to break this cycle. It's a crisis that we can't allow to persist, and I thank everybody for their support. Thank you for the amendment.
Gentleman from Texas is recognized to address the amendment.
I hesitate to speak about this right now, but I may be part of the problem. In 2002, I was a freshman up here, and I was making a speech in Houston, Texas, and I saw NARC, a guy that was an undercover NARC, out in the lobby, and he said, "I need to speak to you." And I thought, oh my gosh, this guy's going to try to get me to sign some warrant or something. And technically I could still do it, but I'd sworn I wasn't going to do it. And so anyway, afterwards he took me aside and I said, right now I'm not doing signing warrants anymore. I'm in Congress now. He said, no, that's why I want to talk to you. He said, we have this epidemic of stealing baby formula. And I said, well, what do you mean by epidemic? He said, well, in Houston alone, it's $1 million a week. And he said, it all goes back to Hezbollah raising money for their business. And they're hiring illegal immigrants to go in at midnight in all-night stores, and even in broad daylight, sweeping the formula into the carpets, crashing the doors, running them up in trucks and driving off. And he said, I said, what are they doing with that stuff? He said, they're selling it. I said, it's been a long time since I had baby formula that I had to buy for my family. And so I almost laughed about that, stealing baby formula. He said, it's $1 million a week in Houston, every week. It all started in LA, and in LA, it's $15 million a week that's being stolen. It's sweeping across the country. It's going to get all the way to the East Coast if we don't stop it. And I said, well, what do you want me to do about it? He said, well, it's who they sell to. I said, who do they sell to? He said, Wicks. And I said, wait a minute, I don't even know who that is. He said, that's the baby formula part of the government's food plan. I said, you mean the government is buying stolen baby formula? And he said, yeah, at a discount of about 25 cents on the dollar. And I said, well, he said, if we stop Wicks from buying this black market stuff, it'll stop the deal going because they can't do it, dispose of it any other way. So I passed a bill that year that said you have to buy from a legitimate wholesaler. I don't know whether that created the monster or not that you're talking about. But it seemed to me the only way to stop it is it has to be a legitimate wholesaler that Wix buys from, or they can't buy black market baby formula. That's one of the little things that happens to me in my life that turns out to be really strange, but that happened to me in my first term in Congress, and I passed a bill, signed into law that year, stopping baby formula from being bought on the street and requiring them to be from a registered wholesaler. Just thought you'd like to hear that story.
Well, I hesitate to raise this again, but are there any other members wishing to address the amendment? If there's no further debate, the gentlelady is recognized for 1 minute to close.
This conversation and the attention from so many people who have seen this personally, and the committee's support. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for your support. Thank you to our ranking member and subcommittee member. Thank you, and appreciate all the comments and support. Thank you very much. Yield back.
Questions now on the amendment offered by the gentlelady from the state of Washington. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and the amendment is adopted. Before we move to our next item of business, I will tell you how proud, how proud I am of all of you, how pleased I am. We have something in my office every week we call Intern Hour. I would recommend you all do it. I did it in my personal office. We have lots of interns on this committee. We do it for our Republican interns and my personal office. And we just sit an hour. And every question is theirs, and there's no staff. It's their hour to ask anything they want. So I got a very innocent question from somebody who probably was wondering, how long am I going to have to work tonight? And they said, when do you think we'll finish the ag markup? And I'm really proud to tell you I was off by about an hour and 45 minutes. And you all deserve the credit for that. So thank you for your civility. Thank you for your professionalism. Thank you for staying within the clock. And thank you for moving along quickly. I appreciate it more than I can say. So, seeing no further amendments, I now recognize Mr. Rogers for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to favorably report to the House the fiscal year 2026 Agriculture, Rural Development, Food and Drug Administration, and related agencies appropriations bill.
Questions now on the motion to favorably report fiscal year 2026 Agricultural, Rural Development, Food and Drug Administration, related agencies appropriations bill to the House. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. No. The opinion of the chair is the ayes have it. Roll call has been requested. All those in, sufficient numbers having raised their hands. I kind of skipped this, but I think I know. Does any, clerk will tally.
Mr. Adderholt. Aye. Mr. Adderholt, aye. Mr. Aguilar. No. Mr. Aguilar, no. Mr. Alford. Mr. Alford, aye. Mr. Amade. Mr. Amade, aye. Mrs. Bice. Mrs. Bice, aye. Mr. Bishop. Mr. Bishop, no. Mr. Calvert. Aye. Mr. Calvert, aye. Mr. Carter. Mr. Carter, aye. Mr. Case. Mr. Case, no. Mr. Siscomani. Mr. Siscomani, aye. Mr. Klein. Mr. Klein, aye. Mr. Cloud. Mr. Cloud, aye. Mr. Clyburn. Mr. Clyburn, no. Mr. Clyde. Mr. Clyde, aye. Mr. Cole.
Aye.
Mr. Cole, aye. Mr. Cuellar. Mr. Cuellar, no. Miss Dean. Ms. DeLauro. Ms. DeLauro, no. Mr. Diaz-Balart. Mr. Diaz-Balart, aye. Mr. Edwards. Mr. Edwards, aye. Mr. Elzey. Mr. Elzey, aye. Miss Escobar. Miss Escobar, no. Mr. Espaillat. Mr. Espaillat, no. Mr. Fleischman. Mr. Fleischman, aye. Miss Frankel. Miss Frankel, no. Mr. Franklin. Mr. Franklin, aye. Mr. Gonzalez. Mr. Gonzalez, aye. Mr. Guest. Mr. Guest, aye. Mr. Harder. Mr. Harder, no. Dr. Harris. Dr. Harris, aye. Mrs. Hinson. Mrs. Hinson, aye. Mr. Hoyer. Mr. Hoyer, no. Mr. Ivy. Mr. Ivy, no. Mr. Joyce. Mr. Joyce, aye. Miss Captor. Miss Captor, no. Mr. LaLota. Mr. LaLota, aye. Miss Lee. Miss Lee, no. Miss Letlow. Miss Letlow, aye. Mr. Levin. Mr. Levin, no. Miss Malloy. Miss Malloy, aye. Miss McCullum. Miss McCullum, no. Miss Ming. Miss Ming, no. Mr. Molinar. Mr. Molinar, aye. Mr. Moore. Mr. Moore, aye. Mr. Morelli. No. Mr. Morelli, no. Mr. Mervan. Mr. Mervan, no. Mr. Newhouse. Mr. Newhouse, aye. Miss Perez. Miss Perez, no. Miss Pingree. Miss Pingree, no. Mr. Pocan. No. Mr. Pocan, no. Mr. Quigley. Mr. Quigley, no. Mr. Reschenthaler. Mr. Reschenthaler, aye. Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers, aye. Mr. Rutherford. Mr. Rutherford, aye. Mr. Simpson. Mr. Simpson, aye. Mr. Strong. Mr. Strong, aye. Miss Torres. Mrs. Torres, no. Miss Underwood. Miss Underwood, no. Mr. Valadeo. Mr. Valadeo, aye. Miss Wasserman Schultz. Miss Wasserman Schultz, no. Mrs. Watson Coleman. Mrs. Watson Coleman, no. Mr. Womack. Mr. Womack, aye. Mr. Zinke. Mr. Zinke, aye. Yes.
Does any member wish to record their vote or change their vote as quickly as you're leaving? I don't think so, but seeing none, the clerk will tally. On this vote, the ayes are 35, the noes are 27. The motion is agreed to. I ask unanimous consent that staff be permitted to make technical and conforming changes to the bill and report just approved. Seeing no exception, 3 days. So ordered. There being no further business, the committee stands adjourned.